Cool.
Oh, there we go. And just
I
like
got a
that, we're
poster.
live when I'm not looking at the camera.
I got a poster. There we go.
Hey, I got one of those too.
That
Yeah.
was a pretty cool night. It was really cool. I didn't know they were going to do that. That was awesome. So
I've never had that happen before. Even when I went to the Bumblebee premiere, they weren't giving nothing out.
I had it happen a few times with different movies. I remember back in '89 when the Batman movie came out. Me and a bunch of friends from school, we decided to go buy tickets during the day, and ironically, we went to Yorkdale as well. And we were outside in line, and then we got the midnight showing because we went on a Thursday. So 12:01 was the first showing, official on the Friday. And they had three at the time. I think Yorkdale only had 3 theaters or something like that. All 3 were Batman. All 3 were sold out. So it was like a 12:01, a 12:10, and then a 12:20 for the third time. So we had the 12:01, and we went in. And when we were going in, they were giving away comic books, like the first appearance of the Joker comic books, like obviously reprints.
That's a good one to do.
T-shirts, there was hats, there was all kinds of cool stuff they were giving away at that. And then it took a long time until I finally went to another one where they were giving away stuff. And I can't remember what it was. It was like, I think it was the X-Men movie that I went to, like the first X-Men movie. Yeah.
Like a decade later.
Yeah. And then they gave, what were we doing for that one? They were giving away comic books. It was like just random X-Men comic books. So
yeah. The official movie prequel, as they're so fond of writing.
Well, back in then, it wasn't that. It was just a random X-Men comic book. Like, everyone had different X-Men comic books.
Yeah. I mean, I'd take it. Actually, I said I'd never run into anything like this before, but that's a lie. Whenever they do a Pokemon movie, because the card game is such a big thing, they always give out packs of cards, usually like special ones. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you get anything good out of them, though?
Huh? Did I what?
Get anything good out of those packs?
Oh, I don't remember. I'm not a Pokemon card guy. But yeah, there's a few like really infamous giveaways of things you could only get if you went to the movies. And I know Pokemon card collectors are like a little bit nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. They are. My son's trying to be one. He keeps telling me, he goes, "Oh, if I get this card, it's worth like $500 and whatever." And I'm like, yeah, to somebody it might be.
I can't mess around with that. I'm in this type of I'm in hobbies like this to have fun. I'm like, just play the game.
Yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. So
yeah.
I do have a pretty cool comic collection, but it's very small. It's sized down to the first 10 issues of the original Punisher run.
Nice.
From 86 to 87. And then I have the original Secret War series. That's pretty much it. Again, those were first editions as well.
Oh, nice. I'm like the only floppies I have are like recent things because I just been reading like the current Transformers run that just finished up. So I just have one long box worth of stuff. Because I used to just read the trades, and then when they rebooted, I was like, I'm going to start reading the single issues so I can actually follow the public discourse instead of catching up with it like every 6-7 months when they do a trade.
Yeah, I usually like getting the big books, like where they have like all those like 12 issues jammed into one big giant, like I don't know what they call them, omnibus or something like that.
Yeah, this entire year I've been slowly reading an omnibus of the very first Steve Ditko Stan Lee run of Amazing Spider-Man because I'm like, I want to read what this is about.
Yeah,
it's a gigantic hardcover. I was only able to get it because I had a bunch of like gift cards for books for my birthday. So I was like, I'm gonna throw them in and turn this big expensive hardcover with like 40+ issues in it into like something I can actually read.
So you're reading a new start to these Transformer books. You said the new books you're reading, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
My question for you is, can you get them on digital? Because I tend to end up reading books digitally now.
That's a very good question. Okay, so here's the wrinkle. IDW Comics, they did Transformers from like the mid 2000s until last year. Very long run. And then they either lost the license or it wasn't renewed. I'm unclear on which way it went.
Yeah.
I
Probably
think
not renewed.
a lot of their digital stuff has been taken down as a result.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the new company, well, I mean, I guess it's a spoiler alert. The new company is Skybound, which is like an imprint of Image Comics. They have just got the license, and there's supposed to be a comic coming out in the next couple of weeks called Void Rivals. And at the end of that, they're going to announce like, oh, we're doing Transformers and GI Joe at Skybound now. But like, this is all over the internet. I don't even think it qualifies as like leaked information now. I don't know if that's going to be available digital. Right now is not a great time to get these things digitally, just because all of IDW's ones are kind of slowly starting to get pulled. But if there's a little bit of icing on the cake, it's that, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I was going to say the icing on the cake is that the license has changed hands a few times now, and generally a new company gets the old things up through reprints, and that includes digital. So probably they will be available digitally again. It'll just be all under Skybound's name instead of IDW's.
Okay.
Yeah, right now you pretty much got to go physical. Yeah. All right, so the feature film, I saw it on Friday there with pretty much the whole Canadian crew, except for Orlati, who, like a responsible adult, still had to work. And
jobs.
yeah, I haven't had a chance to look yet because it's been a busy weekend, but I believe there is video out there of us like live streaming with a phone, like it's a WWE promotion, like before and after.
I did see that.
There is. I saw it.
Yeah. And I've been trying to write a long form thing on what I thought, but yeah, did everybody else here actually go watch it?
I did. I saw it last night
with me. Yeah. All right, that's good. And then Spin will be back once he reboots his computer. Yeah, no, he knew it was happening. He's like, I'm going to pop you guys in, and then you can keep the crowds entertained while I reset everything. Bold of him to assume that I can entertain a crowd. And hello, PRGMR.
What's up, man?
Yeah. So saw it in 3D. A great crowd of people. I think this is probably the best sign of the quality of the movie. Was, as far as I can remember, this is the first time that I've gone to a Transformers movie in the theaters and people have applauded. I don't think I've ever had that happen before. Yeah, I can't, like, not during, hey, Senator Crosscut. Yeah,
Yep.
not during Bumblebee, not during any of the Bay movies. Like, actual applause multiple times. Usually when somebody did a needle drop of some kind.
Are you going on opening night?
So it was just me and some lady and her kids. So it was just the three of us.
Really?
Purple. Yeah, well, I went at noon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was sat between older, maybe 30, 40-something-year-old couple with two young boys, and one of them apparently knows my nephew. So that was interesting. Just a random kid being like, "I know you." I'm like, "All right." And then maybe a young 20-something couple without kids. But yeah, everybody was like clapping, enjoying it. The little kids were doing like the fist pump with me, like Mirage and Noah do in the movie when like Bumblebee came back and they realized that Mirage was alive. They're like, "Hey, give me a fist bump! Give me a fist bump! Mirage is back! Bumblebee's back!" I was like, "Okay, kid." Boom.
I suppose I'm going to preface this to anybody watching. We are going to talk about stuff that happened in the film. So if you haven't watched it, maybe watch the video on demand after you've seen the movie, which I'll say in advance, you should go see it. I thought Jess said it best. She said she likes Bumblebee better, but this was a big favorite of hers, and she's a casual, so I think that really says something.
So I had asked a question, I believe this was last week, if Bumblebee was to ever get dethroned, what would be a character that could replace him? I think Pete Davidson did such a wonderful job.
Yeah.
The universe may go around Mirage.
Yeah, we have our answer there. Like, he was really directly playing the face of the brand archetype that's been passed around so many times. Bumblebee and Cheetor were both this, and they were both in this movie, but it was Mirage that actually filled that role in the story.
Right.
At least you got a Rat Trap
actually happy
reference
for that.
in the movie.
Did I see it or did I miss it?
I don't know, maybe you missed it, but somebody, I think it was Wheeljack that said, "We're all gonna die."
Yep.
Oh, really?
I
Excellent.
caught that too.
I heard that. I didn't know who said it though.
It might have been Wheeljack. I don't know. It's so weird that basically everything you see in the trailers of Wheeljack is damn near everything of Wheeljack in the movie.
I was saying
did not see a point in that character.
Here's the thing: that movie, we know it was delayed for a year. I have read reports now, which have been verified by multiple people who went to test screenings, who talked about a lot of things were changed. The whole, like, even more so than Bumblebee, because Bumblebee, they left the plot alone. They just shaved off extra stuff. This, it sounds like the story went through some fairly significant alterations. I kind of feel like they left Wheeljack on the cutting room floor a bit. That's why he wasn't in this very much.
Yeah, I heard there was up to like 4 or 5 writers, I've heard.
Yeah. Because this was a very fast movie. That's what I thought while I was watching it. It was almost like the 86 movie, the way it moved fast. And I'm like, that's usually a sign that it's been heavily edited. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm like, oh, I feel like this has gone through some chopping and reshooting and editing to make it just
Okay,
so
so
I got some Infinity War vibes just on how the way it ended. It felt like there was more, like the Decepticons still won the battle in this one. And will we see Cyclonus as the next big story, and then you finish it off with Galvatron? Kind of like it also felt like the Steppenwolf thing. You know, like he was the main Primus, even though we wanted Darkseid, we got him.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there was more Unicron in this than I thought there was going to be. So I'll say that at least had that going for it.
Well, here's what I found weird is I know it was delayed for like a year, and Unicron looked amazing, and a lot of the transformation sequences were some of the best I've ever seen out of the live action.
Oh yeah.
And then there were some other parts that kind of looked like they ripped the effects from YouTube. I mean, it wasn't like when Mirage transforms into the F1 car and then the Countach. Like, wow, that didn't look good at all. Now there's another point where Mirage is on the space bridge thing and he's heading toward Scourge. It looked horrible. I couldn't believe that it sat for a year and no one picked up those scenes and made them better than the special effects department.
Maybe they were, because I watched it in 3D and I didn't notice it.
Yeah. Like maybe they were late additions. Like one thing that I can, if the reshoots are to believe, or if the reshoot reports are to be believed, they actually did rework the movies and the ending entirely, like story wise, to be more of a closure thing and less of a sequel hook, basically. And so if there were any dodgy effects towards the end, I'm like, probably because they did them more recently.
Did you guys think we were going to get a Headmaster for a sec when Noah got the exosuit?
Yep.
Oh, they should.
Heck, Noah in the suit and Noah and Mirage relationship in general remind me of Kicker and in the U.S. is Ironhide, in Japan it's Roadbuster. Yeah. In the Super Link, their relationship dynamic, and then the suit remind me a lot of Kicker.
Yeah. See, everybody took different things from that.
Ramon in Tracks.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. I said, it's like the guys from Master Force with their little suits. And then Jess was like, it's like Spike Witwicky's exosuit. So, like, everybody took a different thing from it.
That's what I was thinking, exosuit. Yeah. I was waiting for it to transform, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I was waiting for him to fly, to be honest.
Yeah. God. Okay, I wonder if they did this on purpose, because me and Jess both laughed our asses off. Remember in the last Star Wars movie they did, there's a bit everybody made fun of where they went, they fly now, they fly now, they fly now. Mirage said that in this movie, and me and Jess burst out laughing because we were like, do you think they did that on purpose? I mean, they're making fun of Mark Wahlberg,
that was
being in
that was funny.
Yeah.
And what's really funny is, all the people that are Steven, are you rebuilding a sandblaster or what? Crap! Now I forget where I was.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, brain fart. I hate that.
Something about the exosuit. I don't know. Where were we at?
I forget. I don't know. My headset's really it picks up a lot of sensitive sounds. So.
All right.
It rattled my brain there for a minute. Sorry.
Yeah. You know what? I found myself surprised at how much they managed to actually import the entire Beast Wars premise into this movie, because I thought it was going to be like in name only. Because I'm like, what's Beast Wars? It's a small isolated group of people, a leader who is new and untested, and they're stranded miles away from home, light years away from home on their own. And I'm like, that's what they did in the movie. I didn't think it was going to be so direct, you know. It was more evocative of the show than I thought.
So damn big.
Yeah.
Even the reference of from your future and your past, you know, that really surprised me too. Like, oh wow, they're gonna cling on to that story thread, huh? Like you know. Go ahead.
I feel like something was left on the cutting room floor there, because they don't elaborate on that at all. And I'm like, all right, I can put this together because I saw the show, and you know, it's transwarp. They can go through space and time. So I'm like, I feel like the movie's saying they came from the future. They're the descendants of the Autobots. You know, Primal's like, I was named after you. And then they went back to Earth in the past, like the Beast Wars premise. But they never explain it. It's kind of strange. Maybe something was chopped there.
Because they had the key, I guess. That's what allowed them to do something like that.
Or it's possible we'll get it in a flashback in the next movie.
Yeah.
Or it may just have not been written well enough to even been cut from the movie. You know,
that's a possibility too.
I mean, they throw out that little tiny reference to all the Beast Wars guys go woo, you know, and you know that's it. It's we don't need any more than that, and they probably just didn't even write it.
I mean, like I'm a mark for this when he goes you know, at Maximals maximize. I was like, I said the thing.
Anthony, this made me think of you. I was thinking about when they do introduce Rat Trap, probably in the next movie. You're probably going to need a Pete Davidson-like voice actor for them, just to add the comedic sense of humor onto the Beast Wars side of things.
Yeah.
Who do you envision playing Rat Trap?
Oh God. I mean, they're not going to do this because I feel like they'd want somebody young. But I'm like, shit, if you got to get a celebrity, get fucking Danny DeVito to be Rat Trap.
Oh my God, I was thinking the same thing.
That's perfect.
I like that.
Or Bobcat.
Yeah. Or just fully admit that they're the same character and get Bradley Cooper to also do Rat Trap.
Oh yeah. That's the good voice.
Yeah. Well, they're the same guy. I've been thinking that since Guardians 1. I'm like, oh, that's just Rat Trap. He's even a small rodent who's extremely cynical and good with tech and builds guns.
Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Yep.
That's probably a better choice.
Yeah, I'm curious if you know how when after they have their little Mexican standoff, and like Cheetor's like, oh, I'm sorry, brother, or excuse me, brother, once he gets off of Mirage. That just kind of struck me of how like Cheetor is he comes off like he initially he has a lot of bravado, that he's very confident, but then when it really comes down to it, it's like he's kind of not that confident, kind of shy or whatever. So that excuse me, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah.
That for me, that went a long way for at least him getting some sense of character. Why Rhinox is like, did he even have a grunt?
So nobody knows. People insist he had a line. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I saw that he might have had a line like during the battle at the end with all the lava and everything, and he says, in terms of who's going to take which direction in the fight.
Yeah, Jess, again, I'm going to reference her a lot because she saw Beast Wars. She was like, why didn't they give the science exposition to Rhinox? Because that was his job.
Yep.
Like the bit where Optimus is like, we're going to do this and this and this over the hologram. I'm like, give those lines to Rhinox. That sort of fits.
We're probably going to get more character development in part 2.
Yeah, I felt like Wheeljack. Yeah, I felt like Wheeljack and Rhinox were the weakest links to both the Autobots and the Maximals, which I find interesting since they're both the science characters.
Yeah.
Anthony, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Could you see this happening between Optimus Primal and Optimus Prime being kind of that relationship, like between Magneto and Professor X? And
Nah.
could you possibly see some type of a civil war between the Maximals
I-
and the Autobots?
I don't think so, and I'm glad they didn't take that route. This was, again, a lot more of the original Optimus Primal than I was expecting out of this, in that he was not a rival. He was not they barely had their let's you and me fight moment. He was just like level-headed and,
Because the trailers
relatively
pushed
peaceful.
it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In the movie, it's over in 30 seconds, and he's like, let me tell you about our peaceful existence. And I'm like, yeah, this is the guy. It's closer than I was expecting it to be,
So that's probably where a lot of the cuts came from, because you can see from the trailer they made it seem like they were going to bump heads, kind of like The Rock and Vin Diesel in the Fast movies. But like you said, it didn't go down that route. Could they have changed it? Because I think that would have made it for good for TV if they would have had some type of, who's the man, who's the top dog, who's going to be the top prime.
I found it refreshing they didn't take that route personally.
Well, there was the transit character that was supposed to be in the movie. He showed up in like the collections of the character design art, and his whole scene got cut.
Yeah. I one of my friends pointed this out during the movie. David Sobolov, who voices Battletrap, the orange truck guy, he also voiced this character called Transit that was cut, and he's still listed in the movie's credits. That's how late of a change this was. So what was supposed to happen, because the director just straight up talked about it. The movie was supposed to, near the very start of it, that point where Optimus is walking through the bus station in the rain, and it ends with him seeing the signal. That was meant to be part of a different scene. He was looking for a Decepticon called Transit who changed into a bus, and he was supposed to transform, and they were supposed to have a fight. And Transit was supposed to be like, Cybertron's under Decepticon control still. They're dying waiting for you. And Optimus was like, where's your ship? And he's like, I blew it up so you couldn't follow me. And Optimus kills Transit and then dumps his body into the Hudson River.
Jesus.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Stephen
Murder
Cable,
Prime is back, guys.
Yeah. Stephen Cable Jr. was like, the reason we cut this scene was 2 reasons. He said this in like a video interview. He's like, first of all, it was kind of confusing having another faction in there, and second of all, the test audiences thought it was too dark, so we just cut it from the movie. But apparently, late enough that his name's still in the credits.
Sounds like we need a Snyder cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Spin says tech issues resolved in 5 minutes. Internet. I will throw some comments on the screen to catch up and then jump in. Oh, I'm gonna have to explain that to Spin again. Anyway, yeah.
I just want to ask: did any of you guys feel that Prime was done dirty in this movie? I just felt in his first fight with what's his name, Scourge.
Yeah.
He almost loses, or pretty much does lose. But all of a sudden, that second fight, he can like kick his ass totally. It's like, well, where was that before? Was he not angry enough?
No, he had a different motivation because Scourge killed Bumblebee.
Oh yeah,
now he's like really mad. Here's
Plus,
the thing: a lot of people. Go ahead.
Plus,
go
I
ahead.
feel like this movie being a sequel to Bumblebee, it's still fairly early in the timeline. So I feel like, and it's the first fight he does worse. So that's pretty normal that, regardless of how skilled of a fighter you are, I mean, I have a lot of friends who are in the military and martial arts and stuff. I mean, your first fights, you're going to have a harder time, whereas your second time, motivation or not, you're going to do better because you're familiar with them as a fighter. So it didn't bother me personally, the first fight versus the second fight. That seemed pretty natural for me. And I mean,
I just felt the second fight was too easy for him a little, like, especially when after he starts, I guess he started fighting dirty, throwing the lava at him, going at him, slicing him up.
That'd be the
whatever.
third fight.
Yeah, the second one was
fight on
interrupted.
the mountains in
The second one was
Peru.
on the mountain. Yeah, the third one, the final one. Yeah. So
Eraser literally breaks it up.
yeah,
When Scourge shot Air Razor, I thought it was going to be Cosmic Rust because it looked rusty when it landed and started infecting her. It looked like Cosmic Rust. I was like, oh, there's going to be Cosmic Rust. I was wrong.
I thought that too initially.
To the person in the zombie movie who doesn't tell you that they're bit. That's what Jess compared it to.
And then something I thought, since they said this is going to be possibly a trilogy, not in the Unicron Armada and Energon cartoons, but the comics by Dreamwave. Airazor becomes a herald of Unicron.
That is true. That happened in Armada.
So
the Armada
that could
comics.
be and you consider that once the transwarp key gets exploded, and you have that transwarp explosion that I guess purifies the Energon rock and all that stuff that Bumblebee was on, and that revives him. Maybe we'll see Airazor too, because they're showing that a transformer can be brought back.
Yeah. I did not believe for a second that Bumblebee had been finished off for good, even if I didn't remember that there was still trailer shots involving him.
What I find real strange about that is, Bumblebee is such a cash cow for Hasbro, and then they sideline him for 3/4 of the movie.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
I don't mind that, giving somebody else their time to shine.
Yeah. But I think Pete Davidson carried the role well enough to where people are going to start looking. I think this opens up a whole new avenue for kids who are going to want to praise Mirage. He's the cool kid. He's a friend. Especially for only child. I can see him being that buddy. Especially when that toy comes out, everybody's going to want a fist bump.
Well, I know. I told Toyfax this because he asked me to tell him my thoughts on the movie, and I told him how the little boy sitting next to me fist bumped me when Bumblebee came back and when Mirage realized he was alive. So I agree with Toyfax that kids are going to pick up on those Mirageisms, for lack of a better word.
I was really impressed because it's such a fine line to walk when you have a character like that. Like, if you push it too far, you get like a Jar Jar Binks situation. But you know what I mean? Like, it didn't go into that territory. He rode that line just like very carefully between being like enthusiastic and quippy and crass, but like not going too far with it. I did like how I feel like his whole motivation was he was just really tired of hanging out with like Optimus and Bumblebee and RC, so he just really desperately wanted somebody else to interact with. There's a part where he's like, "Don't leave me with these tight asses." So I was like,
Anthony, question for you.
Do
you foresee any of the Predacons coming into this, or is it not needed because they have enough to deal with Unicron and whatever else lackeys he brings to Earth?
Well, they left a bit of a precedent there because it was really clear and really easy to see. Oh, Scourge had a Predacon logo on his shoulder amongst his thing of captured logos from people. So they exist out there somewhere. I mean, it depends on what direction they want to take it, right?
Well, only reason I'm saying is because it's only fair to Beast Wars fans, because I'm sure you want Waspinator, you want the
Bill
Inferno, you want to see all those guys.
Good evening, gents.
Hello,
Bill. We're going to be spoiling the shit out of this.
Yeah.
Blow it away, guys. Like I said, I will see it until it comes out on something cheaper. I'm not spending $60 at the theater to see it.
$60. God, where you live, Bentley?
Damn.
Are you meeting Peter Cullen?
You getting autographs from the cast?
It only cost me $14 to see it.
It cost me in San Francisco. It was like $18 for me.
It was like $20 for me in 3D.
It's $18 a seat, and it would be me and my lady going to see it if we were to see it.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a whole date night from there. I'm not spending $60 to $120 to see this.
Hell, I can see it in IMAX for $14.
That's put out.
What are they charging you? Like you got to sell a kidney to get in?
I was going to say, like, a lot of people are probably going to have a lot of thoughts about how they played Optimus in this. I was pretty fond of it because he is like a little bit like a little bit of that murder prime, but they wrote it so he has reasons to be so, because he's like really, really going through it, and he's been stuck on Earth for 7 years. The comparison I came up with is, have you ever been trapped in an airport for like more than 2 days?
Oh God.
How did you feel after that? That's what he's going through. Because they're straight up like, we weren't supposed to still be here. We were supposed to stop here and then go, and now it's been 7 years and we're still stuck here. And he brought the whole gang, and they're all stuck here with him. So he's he's pressed, and that's why he's just gotten so bitter and so angry. And then things go from bad to worse, and that's when the Murder Prime comes out. And I'm like, you know what? This movie kind of earned it. Or in previous movies, it was out of nowhere, but here I'm like, they slowly get there, and he's like, I'm going through it, and also one of my guys is dead now, and I really hate this guy over here. So you know what? I'm gonna start, letting loose. And I'm like, I think they earned it,
Well,
Yeah,
this
you know
version of
how
Prime
he has that moment with Primal with Battle Trap after Primal takes the kill and he's like boom boom. I had a moment like that with one of my teammates on my Forge to Fight. He took I literally called. I'm like, hey, from the second fork, I'm gonna take the right path. I go back in the game. He took the path. I'm like, and I'd like, Kinley, you're my Primal and I'm your Prime. Listen to me next time. That was my kill.
I felt like they were trying to invoke the dog. I felt like they were trying to invoke the Hulk beating Loki around in the Avengers thing when he just like took a rock to the head like way more times than necessary.
Yeah, I kind of got the same. Yeah.
But yeah,
sorry about the dog. She's we went to the movies and she's never home alone that much, so she's full of energy.
Hey, I bring my cat in here like every other stream, so I think we can have a little canine as a treat.
When I first got on, all we could see was just a little bit of the rope. The dog wasn't in there, and I was like, what the hell is he holding on to?
A very energetic pit bull.
In his hand.
But yeah, really fond of how they wrote Optimus. Really fond of how they played him. What?
It wasn't you. My dog just running into the other room and just knocked her head on the table like.
Oh, okay.
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
oh, damn, I didn't say anything funny.
Knocked the table sideways and just kept going. Her head is just that rock that Maximal got beat with.
Yeah, that's a pit bull, all right.
I'm
sorry. Continue. I wasn't laughing at you. I'm sorry.
I was just saying Optimus was really well done. So people are probably going to have opinions. People are probably going to think otherwise. I liked how they wrote him in this one. And Peter Cullen sounding like he's perpetually kind of tired and burnt out and going through it, like really added something to it up until the point where he gets like mad about it.
See, that's what subtracted it for me because I mentioned it before. I want lighthearted Optimus back. It didn't have to be permanent. It doesn't have to be for the whole damn. Just some levity out of Optimus would be so much of a breath of fresh air.
And what is it? He tells Bumblebee, you need to stop going to that drive-through theater.
Yeah.
This version of Optimus is pretty dark. It's like he lost his whole family in Vietnam and he has a drinking problem.
I mean,
I can see that actually.
Yeah, that is sort of his story a little bit.
Yeah.
Pardon me, humans, as I take a gulp of Energon.
Yeah.
I mean, the Decepticons did get drunk on Energon in G1, so.
Yeah. The Bumblebee drive-in movie theater thing just pointed something out to me because we just watched Bumblebee. She's like, okay, so in Bumblebee, he plugs the stereo in, and everything he says afterwards is music samples. In this movie, everything he says is a movie clip. And then Optimus is like, stop going to the drive-in. So she was like, that's where he got all these lines from. He's been watching drive-in movies. That's why he's quoting like They Live and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was cool. I caught that too.
I thought there was going to be a deep Beast Wars cut where all the Energon was around him, and that's why the Beast had to stay in Beast mode, like the cartoon where there was too much Energon around for them. It would mess with how they function in robot mode. Yeah. I thought there was going to be like a deep cut something there, and they didn't mention anything about it.
Well, they had that deep cup of 8-Link, who's from like Fun Pub Publications, BotCon Comics and Toys and whatnot. So that's like when he said that, I was like, what? 8-Link?
Yeah, that's like the most obscure. It's obscure, but not. The reason that the character of 8-Link is there is because he was a repaint of Optimus Primal. So they're like, we need a guy to die before this. There's a character here who's already a repaint of Optimus Primal, so we can just use the Optimus Primal character model again. And also we get to make a really deep cut with this guy. And he also suffers from a really deep cut, so.
I wonder actually if one of the changes near the end when Unicron says, I can give you anything you want, I wonder if the cut was they made him into Nemesis Prime.
Okay. You want to know how the movie was originally going to end according to the multiple test screenings? So what was going to happen before they changed it was they blow the transwarp thing up, and Optimus is getting sucked in there, and Noah's trying to grab him. Apparently in the test screening version, Primal didn't come and save him. Optimus got sucked in there and blown into space, and the movie has a downer note because they think he's gone. And then the movie ends with Optimus floating in space meeting Unicron, and they describe Unicron's eyes opening, and then they cut to credits. Like 3 different people have verified this over time. They completely rewrote the ending so that it didn't end like that. He gets rescued, and everything's a bit more upbeat. So, like, that's probably where they were going to go with it, and then they decided not to. And I'm fond of that just because I don't like it when movies try to be part one of whatever when it's not guaranteed. I like them when they're more self-contained, like this was. So, I mean, that sounds cool, but, like, I'm more fond of we told a full story here than we're going to cliffhanger it. Presuming that's true, which it probably is.
Because that's all the Bay movies was just sequel bait. That's all those movies were. And all the next one's going to be better. All the next one's going to be better. Yeah, I agree with you with containing the story.
Plus, what I was saying about Air Razor early on, they still have that as a backdoor way to have someone who's been made into Unicron Herald, and it would be a reference to the Dreamwave Armada and Energon comics. So,
yeah, RJ Eagle agrees with us. Cheetor and Rhinox were non-existent in the film. Glad that RC got a lot of screen time and script time.
I saw a toy. It's so small.
Yeah. Cheetor had 2 lines total. Rhinox had nothing. People say he had 1 line. One of my friends who went with us, Cheetor was his favorite Beast Wars guy, and he said to me after the movie, not once did he say Ultra Gear. Not once.
I like this comment. When they make Stratosphere an old broken Transformer, didn't they do repairs on him?
Stratosphere's like, we don't want to use Jetfire again, so we're going to get this guy.
With the weird Bay-verse face. That was so weird.
Stratosphere's design minus the face reminds me of the Cybertron/Galaxy Force version of Jetfire.
Yeah, you're not the first person
it has
to
that
point
same general body type and color.
Well, he was just Jetfire again. Here's the thing. Stratosphere is a really strange, another deep cut for a character because it's a little bit of snake eating its tail with regards to the movies. Because Stratosphere was a character from the Revenge of the Fallen toy line. Because when they wanted to make, back in the day when they wanted to make figures that weren't in the movie, what they would do was they would pick out vehicles from the movies that didn't transform and turn them into Transformers. The original Stratosphere toy was based on the jumbo jet that they drop Optimus out of at the beginning of Revenge of the Fallen. It even came with a little mini Optimus. And, you know, he wasn't. I think he was in the Dark of the Moon video game as well. But like, they just made this character up in the movie lines, and now he's in one of the movies later on. So it's kind of it's a little bit of an Ouroboros going on there with him.
Talk about not having any lines. Did he have any lines?
He said a few things. He was Scottish. He horked out a piece of engine component. Yeah. And they were like, I'm walking to Peru.
So let's address the expanding universe here, man. What do you guys think of that?
The G.I. Joe.
They couldn't make a G.I. Joe movie work. They couldn't make a G.I. Joe movie work in the past, so now they have to ride the coattails of Transformers.
Can I just...
When I was a kid, hold on. When I was a kid, it was just a battle on the playground, which was better, G.I. Joe or Transformers. And now I just want to laugh in all those little kids' faces. Your movie has to write off my movie, bitch.
Well, Jess and my friend Andrew were to the right of us. They lost their minds laughing when they popped up the G.I. Joe thing. Like, they were just laughing their asses off. I was like, this is a weirdly long way to introduce Sector 7, and then it wasn't them.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
I got a question for you guys. So, do we go with the military soldiers that already work, like your Tyrese, the other gentleman? I forgot his name.
Josh Dumont.
Yeah, him. Yeah. And do you bring back The Rock as the roadblock?
This is 1994. They're not bringing anybody back.
Marlon Wayne.
But those guys would just be joining the military at that time. So
yeah.
Not the same universe, though.
I was going to say, to be fair, well, first of all, I said when I was leaving the theater, I want to post that that image from Mean Girls that everybody posts where they're like, "Stop trying to make fetch happen," and replace it with "Stop trying to make GI Joe happen." But I'm like, if you gotta, just jump straight into GI Joe versus Transformers. There have been multiple comics crossovers, so there's an established story there.
Yeah.
Like, if they have to do that, I guess, just
Most
put them in the
likely,
same movie.
It's probably going to be Falcon because they have so many of those ugly ass GI Joes of Falcon probably sitting at the warehouse, and they're probably going to need to move them.
I just want to I recently watched all the GI Joe movies because my comic book club was reading all those crossovers, and I'm like, and in the comics more so, I'm like, Duke, Hawk, Flint, Falcon. Why are they the same person? I took a screenshot of the movie of two of them in the same shot, and they were the same character model repainted. I was like, come on! Also, if I'm starting an 80s band, I'm going to name it Duke, Falcon, and the Flint Hawks.
Wow.
But yeah, if they got to do that again, I guess they can cross it over. Also, I was like, hey, the chaotic way to do this would be like, this is the same universe as the Channing Tatum G.I. Joes, and Noah's mech suit is the prototype for the accelerator suits in Rise of Cobra. Same thing.
I guess you could squeeze that in there.
Wasn't there another G.I. Joe cartoon in the 90s about the same time that was
G.I. Joe Extreme
or something?
Yeah.
G.I. Joe Extreme.
Yeah.
Well, they use suits in that. And I get the reference where they made it in the movie when they had those accelerator suits.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happening with the cartoon happening in the 90s and everything playing out in the movie in the 90s, it would really give G.I. Joe fans that sense of, belonging. Do you know what I mean? Like,
they got to do it right, though. You just can't drop that at the end of the movie and all of a sudden, the G.I. Joe's have been in existence this entire time. Like,
well, it's going to have to be somewhat Brooklyn-based because the movie is a little different than our traditional Transformer movie. So you're probably going to have to get a Joe that's probably from that area besides Noah.
I'll believe that a G.I. Joe thing is happening when I'm watching it in the theater. I seriously don't think it's going to happen. I'm just putting that out there. I don't think the movies are done, but I'd be surprised if we really see something come out of this. They've been trying to launch a Hasbroverse for years behind the scenes. It just hasn't been happening.
Well, it was Paramount that was blocking. I was reading about this today, and Paramount was the one apparently that said, no, we don't really want to do it. And then finally, when they started doing this movie, the director just went to some of the producers, including Michael Bay and Paramount, and said, hey, why don't we just do this? And they finally just sort of did all right, fine, do it. And that's how you get this little reference at the end. And the director, he was more of a G.I. Joe fan than he was a Transformers fan, apparently. So,
I also heard that he did storyboard with the toys.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Oh, GMR says if they do Transformers versus G.I. Joe, please have Cobra led by Cobra Commander. Yeah, I mean, I don't know G.I. Joe too well, but everybody loves Cobra Commander.
Yeah, the guy that he played, the same voice actor that did Starscream did his voice, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's kind of the same movie.
Well, good evening, everyone.
43 minutes in, good evening.
Finally.
Yeah.
Did you make it?
All right. I made it. The slight internet issue, I had to call in and be like, what's going on? I need my internet. And they're like, yeah, just reboot your modem and you're good to go. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm going to throw this to Fear or Courage. 60-second rundown of what's happened in the last 43 minutes.
We said a bunch of positive things about the movie, mostly. I talked about the deleted scene with the Decepticon transit. I don't know. We talked about comics a bit at the beginning.
Even though he ends that with shit, I don't know. It's still a better job than what I could have done because my brain just ran into itself. Good job, Anthony. Good job.
I had a whole list of... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me run through this really quick again. The bit at the start when Optimus is in the rain walking through the bus depot, there was a deleted scene there. He was supposed to fight a Decepticon bus named Transit.
Okay.
Stephen Cable said this in like a video interview and everything. He was going to fight him. They're going to be like, hey, we still have Cybertron under our control. Your people are dying over there. I blew my ship up that I came in on, so you can't take it back. And Optimus like kills him and dumps his body in the Hudson River.
Wow.
And Stephen Cable Jr. was like, test audiences thought this was too dark, so we just cut it.
Clank.
Yeah, but Transit is still in the movie's credits because David Sobolov, who also voiced Battletrap, the orange truck, also did his voice, so his name's still in the credits. So people are like, justice for Transit, release the Transit cut. Partially just because having a bus Decepticon's kind of novel, so people were like, I wanted to see this guy.
Got it. Okay. Kind of.
Oh,
That
and then
being
he
said-
froze.
a lot of the the 3D Predacons I thought looked really amazing. You could actually tell them
Yeah.
apart this time, which was a huge plus. Scourge looked freaking menacing, dude. I
Yeah,
actually love the look of the.
That like furnace look in his chest or whatnot.
they were revoking the Fallen a little bit. I was like, which makes sense because the Fallen is usually Unicron's herald, and the Fallen's usually depicted as a humanoid guy. Ignore the previous movie appearance. He's a humanoid in black armor with glowing innards, and so as soon as I saw him coming through the woods, I'm like, oh, so he's also this character in addition to Scourge and the other Scourge. He's also the Fallen. So, well, not literally, but like the same archetype.
Yep. Saw parallels there.
Yeah. Nightbird gets to be in a movie. Like, again, the people that get highlighted, is continually impressive to me.
Does she have a good part in this?
She gets to exist. She gets lines. She gets action. She gets to say and do things. She's not a central character. She is very much one of the bad guys, but it's not like a Bay movie Decepticon who doesn't say anything and is in it for 30 seconds and dies. It is a lot better than that. She's one of the minions.
Yeah, like if you ever seen was it Bill that said you were going to an anime convention this weekend?
Yes.
If you ever seen Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust and that group of rival, not the humans but the mutants hunters,
Right.
they kind of remind me a lot of them in that movie. That they're this kind of ongoing threat that pops. You get cut away to see where they're at and how they're tracking or going after D or the other human hunters. So they're a regular presence. They're not just a pop up, they get killed, that's it, move on to the next person. So they're a reoccurring presence throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Which is an improvement over the prior Bay films.
Yeah, and importantly, they get lots of lines. So,
Yep.
that's
You get a sense
that's
of-
the best.
Yeah, you get a sense of their personality and their different fighting styles.
Yes. Nightbird can fly. She changes into a car, but she can fly. So in robot mode.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now I'm gonna actually hold on. Yeah, try to hold that thought. I'm gonna quickly throw this to everyone. So, since I did have a whole bunch of notes, so slowly incorporate it to everyone.
Homework.
But I guess first you Fear. 8 out of 10. Sorry, 10 out of 10. What is your rating of the movie?
I'm gonna go with like 8.5. It's probably my favorite of the live action ones, but like sort of by default. It's got more going on than Bumblebee, and I liked Bumblebee, so this is better. Let me give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
Cool. And what city are you representing today?
Toronto?
Okay, Ghost, your rating out of 10.
Rating? Probably give it about an 8. I felt it was pretty good. I felt the RC character who was like just useless. I found just an absolute useless character. I didn't see the reason for her to be there. I did like Pete Davidson as Mirage, though. I thought that was good and a good change from Bumblebee. So I just get tired of Bumblebee. That's it.
Yeah, I hear that. And what city are you representing today?
I'm from the great town of Oakville, which is outside the Toronto. So I'm on the west end of Toronto, the very far west. So
And Mr.
Basically,
Super,
I'm 45 minutes from the U.S. and 45 minutes to Toronto, so I'm sort of in the middle.
right in the middle. Mr. Superlink, your rating out of 10, and which city are you with?
I'm with Dayton, Ohio, and I'm with ties to Richmond, Virginia. I guess I'll be at 8 something like everybody else. I mean, I'd say it's like I hadn't seen Bumblebee, but I mean, I can remember it. There's stuff that stuck with me. I honestly, I realize in hindsight, I really don't remember seeing Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon. I know I saw them, so. And the only other movie I can remember as much is The Age of Extinction. So I think it's definitely an improvement. It took away. I like that it took away the sexual humor and the boobs and booms filmmaking of Bay. It took the worst parts of Bay out. I felt.
They also didn't defang the humor though, which I appreciated. You know.
Yeah. And then I liked how
that Bay did too.
Yeah.
And I felt like it had some DNA of like the Japanese Beast Wars as well, because if you look at Beast Wars Seconds, there's this mix like of, and also RID 2001 and 2015, where there's the mix of animal robots and vehicle robots. And then like I was saying before you logged in, that Kick Noah and Mirage remind me a lot of Energon, Kicker, and Ironhide. And I saw a lot of like Unicron trilogy DNA, and not just US Beast Wars and G1 and US G1. So I feel like they were pulling from a lot of continuities.
Okay, cool. Toy Work, you did see it today?
Yep. I just came from it a couple hours ago.
Cool.
As for defanging the humor, I'm sorry. I give it a 6.5. Sarasota, Florida. As for defanging the humor, when Mirage said "You've been inside me," I thought was really awkward. There was too many of the humor points that were just kind of cringe. Like, that still has Bay DNA in it. It's not as sharp of an incisor as the Bay comedy, but it was still an incisor, and I didn't. I wasn't highly impressed by the comedy that was in it. And it, like I said before, I'll say it again. It really could have used more levity.
Okay. Mr. Toy Work, sorry, Mr. Toy Facts. What's out of 10?
I really liked it, so I'm going to go with a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
It's giving me a new appreciation for Beast Wars. I actually ordered my first Beast War toy, the $60 Optimus Primal. Became a fan of the whole team. I think it gave me a good mixture of what I would want to see in the G1 cartoons, and also trying to get educated on the Beast Wars. I know it's not 100% the true story of it, but it gave me a good balance of where it could go, and I think there is a plethora of ways that this story can go where I could be entertained. I was a little disappointed that Unicron didn't transform, but I'm okay with that. I know something else is building up. I see a possible civil war coming between the Maximals and the Autobots, like I was telling Anthony. I see that as a possibility. I could be wrong. I could see Cyclonus being the next big villain with new toys around him and building up to Galvatron as that third and final piece along with Unicron. I could see Optimus Prime and Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime coming from somewhere to battle Unicron to defeat him, because you're going to need a dog to kill a dog. So the possibilities of what we've seen is just great. I think they should have included Blaster in this one because of the outstanding soundtrack that he had.
Oh yeah, 90s tech. That's right.
I think he should have been in charge of the music somehow. I'm just glad that they was not jacking Transformer cars, other than what Noah had to do, and and being in Brooklyn and making it super ghetto or whatever. I'm just glad they gave us a good, honest story, so I can appreciate it. I had a good time with it, and I definitely would go see it again. And I'm excited for what happens next in this story. I even like the toys, and I never buy Studio Series toys. I'm probably going to grab a few, which I can't understand.
I'm gonna vote best usage of LL Cool J's "I'm Gonna Knock You Out" ever.
Yeah, and that's one of the bits I was talking about before. Everybody in our theater just like cheered at that.
There was a big pop, yeah.
Yeah, you were Spin. You weren't here when I said this. I was like, this is saying something generally positive about this. This is the only Transformers movie that I recall seeing in the theater and having people clap at it. I don't think that's happened before. Not in any of the Bay movies. Not even in Bumblebee. People giving big applause. That's the first time it's happened. Masterclass in good use of music. Not just a good soundtrack and also a good use of it.
Yeah.
Well,
I was gonna say for Toy Fact's sake, since he seems fairly new to Beast Wars via its movie, like if he's into physical media, like maybe hunting down the old Rhino DVD releases of Beast Wars might be worthwhile to look into.
I try. I fall asleep every time.
And then there's also on YouTube you have Japanese Beast Wars subtitled, Beast Wars Second and Beast Wars Neo.
Yeah, the official Hasbro channel's been uploading episodes.
And there's IDW comics too. So
here's the thing. So my child, I lost him to Beast Wars. He completely, does not like G1, and he's completely into Beast Wars. That's his thing. So I just bought him his first toy. It should be coming in the mail in a couple of days. He's super excited about it. So I'll just get all my education from him.
Well, remember what I said to you the one time when you were joking about, oh man, what did I do wrong? My son's not into G1. He likes Beast Wars. I says, look at it this way. This movie gets to be the movie he gets to see Unicron on the big screen, whereas the 86 movie was where you got to saw Unicron, big and large on the screen. So
I never thought about that way.
Because I remember telling you and me discussing that on Instagram DMs a while back.
Quick bit of trivia. Vince DiCola got a thanks in the credits of the movie because they did sample his Unicron theme a little bit.
I didn't hear it.
At the very start. Well, yeah, it's really subtle. At the start of the movie, when they're talking about Unicron and like when the credits are rolling, they don't sample the main bassy bit everybody knows. They sample the little introduction. Like think about the very start of the movie when he's just coming around the sun. That little bit of music. They use that a few times.
I did hear that.
So his name, Vince DiCola's name is in the credits. Like I don't know if it's special thanks or like the music section, but he got a shout out there, which is good.
So I'm gonna quickly go through some of my notes to catch up with everyone. Since I wanted to kind of do these notes from the initial start. Now, from my background coming from music and not so much always focused on directors. I looked up Steven to kind of figure out why his version of Transformers worked better than Michael Bay. And researching him prior to Transformers, so I wasn't influenced in what I was reading. A lot of the work he's worked on, which is like movies called The Land, Creed 2, and A Different Tree, he has a family-oriented and people-oriented angle in terms of what he brings to his work and his movies, which is why I could see that why this movie worked a lot better than anything in the hands of Bay. Also, him being born in '88, his hip hop like he would have been a child within the '94, '98 era and would have been heavily influenced by the hip hop music. Which, after watching the movie, I did realize that either himself or who he worked with knew exactly which songs to use for which scenes, which I know you guys already mentioned the Bumblebee and the LL Cool J, but then the scene with Noah kind of like kind of slipping behind in the Rich event and everything, they're using the cool like that from Diggable Planets, which is like in a situation like that you just got to be cool and flow with it and blend in with everyone. In the beginning of the movie with Noah, and he's kind of doing his hustle, they're playing Cream from Wu-Tang. And the whole premise of the song is like, we were hustling before we became who we became in the Wu-Tang members. So all the songs have like a perfect connection to the scenes and what's happening in the movie. I guess a quick other notes that, before I let you guys jump in again. I found the relationship between Noah and Mirage almost like Raoul and Trax from
Said that earlier.
and it's so funny in a sense where it's like, well, Noah's stealing a car, but then Raoul's also stealing a car, as like they kind of try to play it off on that. And let's see, the humans, with Noah and Dominique, they're kind of more in the background and not forefronted, like as in all the other movies. So it's a movie about robots, and their struggles. Humans just happen to be in it, as opposed to the other way around. The Optimus still has that Bayverse kind of Optimus. I just hate everyone and I want to kill everyone. So it's
Trigger first.
Yeah, he's still not that human connection of Optimus that we grew up with. So that's the few things that I picked up on it. Also with Scourge, him being a herald of Unicron, that's not much different than in G1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think this movie. Okay.
Well, actually, sorry, one more thing. In terms of how they presented Unicron, I think they're probably going with the MCU style of how they presented Thanos, where it's like, and similar to how they brought the Borg in Star Trek, where it's like, here's this character that can, basically eliminate everyone. Well, they bring them in, take them back out, but the character still exists in some form of universe. So it's not like, don't think we've defeated this character, he's gone. He still exists. He's going to find his way to come back and fight everyone once again at some point in time.
If you're going to do Unicron, doesn't that mean you have to do Primus at some point?
Well, they mentioned Primus, eh?
They did mention it, but
he says you call yourself a Prime. Primus would be ashamed. That's something.
Yeah. That's something. But if you're going to keep doing Unicron, like, isn't Primus is sort of the rival of Unicron? That's the one that's going to fight him eventually, I think.
Well, Primus is Cybertron. That's what he turned himself into. Now, in one anime, Transformers Cybertron, Primus could transform, but I don't know if they're going to do that in the movies. Maybe, but like in Marvel, where this originated, Primus. Unicron turned his body into a big transforming robot. Primus turned his body into Cybertron and made the Transformers instead, figuring, like a whole species was better than one giant entity. That's why, they're the children of Primus.
Yeah.
So do you feel the second movie should be based on Cybertron instead of trying to fight Unicron on Earth?
No, that would be nice. Really, it would be. Sorry. It'd be such a breath of fresh air to get the hell off of Earth for once. And not have Earth's fate in the balance.
Well, here's a fair question. Do we need human antagonists in these movies?
No.
Nah, this one got along fine without him.
Yes for Optimus Prime, because that's the only way he's going to get out of his funk. He needs his own human. Like a companion pal or some shit.
Like how
companion character.
Like how Mirage has Noah and Bumblebee has whatever flavor he has in the movie.
Yep, exactly. Let me ask you guys this question. Does Noah give you John Leguizamo vibes?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
If they actually made this movie in 1994, that's who they would have cast, probably.
Yeah, probably.
For sure.
That's so true.
Yeah. Maybe
Oh no, we've lost Bill for a moment.
No.
Yeah.
I think John Leguizamo would have been a lot more funnier too, though. So.
This guy was fine. Oh, you know what I did appreciate is a little bit of world building. Noah's an ex-soldier, so more so than Marky Mark, more so than Shia LaBeouf. The fact that he's an ex-soldier, I can buy that this guy can be a man of action as our protagonist, because I'm like, oh, he's already been through this. He actually knows what he's doing. He's going to pick up a weapon and know what to do with it and stuff.
As much as I dislike humans in these movies, I did find both of these humans. I found myself liking them, and I found myself rooting for them. They were actually, for once, they were written as not whiny bitches or I'm an inventor,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're getting in
Sign
the
says
way.
they turn Noah into a power master. Didn't you get that? I Spin, you weren't here for this. Everybody takes something different from it. Jess said, "Oh, it's like Spike Wiggly's exosuit." I was like, "Oh, it's like Master Force." Superlink was like, "Oh, it's like Kicker."
Energon Kicker.
Yeah, Energon Kicker. And this guy's like, it's like a Power Master. Everybody's taking a different thing from what that suit represents.
I'm taking it as an exosuit from G1.
Yeah.
Some comment somewhere on the internet was saying it's more like one of the versions of G.I. Joe, the suits that they had, because apparently there's a crossover suit, and that's a part of the leading into the crossover.
I was gonna say I don't actually believe this, but like until I'm proven otherwise, I get to joke that this is set in the same continuity as the Channing Tatum G.I. Joes, and the Mirage suit is a prototype for the accelerator suits they used in Rise of Cobra. It's definitely not what's happening. I can pretend for now because it's funny.
I do hope that when they bring G.I. Joe in, which that was a huge surprise. I do hope that they just reboot everything. They don't bring The Rock in, because The Rock plays The Rock in every single thing he plays. They just bring the same energy that they brought to this movie to G.I. Joe. Just start it all over and do it properly.
I got a question for everybody here. Does anyone of you guys feel that Noah's little brother could be the key to something big down the line?
I mean, yes. I wouldn't rule it out, but outside of just being motivation.
Well, if they go kind of like what they did with Armada and Energon, I don't think they'll do a time skip because of just the way they end with Noah and the G.I. Joe. But you do see an advancement of time, and with the human characters from Armada, they return in Energon. And you see the advancement of their lives, the kids as adults, and there's some characters that they're literally like the human what's the embassies? It's basically like the Earth embassy on Cybertron, stuff like positions like that. And they're in charge of the Earth government, and they're the person when war starts back out. So it could be stuff like that. Maybe not the second movie, because I don't think they'll do a big time skip just because of the way the movie ended. Maybe if you do manage to do a trilogy, maybe they might get to have Noah's little brother. Plus, it would have been enough time for him to maybe he'll be in puberty by then.
Only reason I'm saying this is because I'm
the actor.
Only reason I'm saying this is because I'm getting the anime vibes. That little girl, what's her name? Siri with that key.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. I'm thinking
animated.
Yeah, animated series. I'm thinking something down the line for him. Something's gonna be like he's the chosen one outside of his brother.
Well, he totally gave me the vibe of when he was telling Mirage to bring his brother back, and if you don't, I'm going to grow up and become the most badass warrior you've ever met, and I'm going to hunt you down. That's the vibe I got from it. Damn, don't fuck with that little kid.
Yeah,
it's very.
Yeah, little kids will be like that. Trust me. My nephew, man, sometimes he scares me. I'm like, child, keep the hell away from me. You cray.
I will say this: I liked all the human characters in this. I liked all the human characters in Bumblebee. I wouldn't mind if it became policy for them to rotate the human cast every movie. They did that in the Marvel comics as well. They didn't really have regulars. If it's a set of fresh faces each time, I'd be fine with that.
So you mean like a new caretaker, maybe power gliding that crazy broad? Or are you talking sea spray with the other chick who transformed into water?
Oh, right, yes.
They can just keep making
Little
people
Mermaid,
up.
the new one, and sea spray hookup. Have some caramel robotic babies or something.
Toll thinking, please do not make Florida any weirder than it already is, and have half Cybertronian mermaid shark creatures that transform into Disney characters.
It's no comment.
There's so many violations there. All right, guys. Well, I got to jump. I'm going to take the family to go see Transformers because they haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to watch it by myself without any interruptions. So now that I got that out the way. And I'm gonna try to get that helmet in the truck, the little popcorn bowl.
Yeah, make
yes.
sure you go to an AMC theater. I didn't go to an AMC theater, so I couldn't buy it.
Yeah, make sure
All right,
make
guys,
sure the
you guys
kids
have
and
a
your
good
wife
one.
don't have to tape your mouth shut,
Yeah,
so you
right.
don't spoil it for them.
I'll try not to. All right, guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right,
Later
take
on,
care.
take care.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, yeah,
I,
how you were? Oh, go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything meaningful to say.
Oh well, how Spin was saying that the robots took precedence. I mean, they did, but there was a point there near the beginning that I was like, is this a Transformers movie? Because we've had humans on screen for a long ass time now. We could get to the robots already. I felt that at one point.
See, I like that setup just because the whole people struggling in Brooklyn to the Wu-Tang Clan was something I hadn't seen in a Transformers movie before. So as an intro, I liked sitting through it.
I will say that something I liked about the humans, and I feel like I'm a broken record saying this, like Armada and Energon and Cybertron 2, the way that they tie like the Transformers to human history. Because like there's like in Armada, you get like minicons, microns associated with Atlantis. There's a Peruvian, Central American type, South American type city that's a major location in Energon and so forth. So there's
they
a
did
lot
the
of
opposite. They did the opposite of that in this movie because they were like, hey, Optimus Primal, did you guys do like the Nazca lines and a bunch of other things? Were you ancient astronauts? And he was like, no, you guys did that. That wasn't us.
Well, I wasn't meaning that not in that they necessarily contribute, just that they were around to see that stuff.
Yeah.
So so you had like, for example, how they had like the Peruvian like art showing like the Primal and Rhinox and Cheetor, but the Incas and the Aztecs still had their own culture, but you see hints of them in art through the lens of our history is what I meant. Because you get like in the Atlantis section of Armada, you get hints of like this, the microns and these robots that could make these tree warriors that could form a sword together of great power. So, but the Atlanteans' culture and history, it's still its own human thing, but there's these little bits of Transformer elements that sneak into it, is what I meant. Like the humans still take precedent with their history, and the Transformers supplement it, not the other way around. Is what I was getting at.
Bumblebee killing Hitler, or the watch that killed Hitler.
That didn't happen anymore. Anybody that at this point still thinks this is the same continuity as the Bayverse, I'm like, just watch the movie. This doesn't fit anymore. Unicron's out there, not down there. G.I. Joe exists. The Autobots are not going anywhere off of Earth. This is its own thing now. Bumblebee wasn't around in World War II to go help kill Hitler with a watch. That didn't happen anymore.
Yeah, I didn't hear about Bumblebee from my grandpa's in World War II, so it's not canon because my grandpa's didn't tell me about it.
Yeah, I know it's not the same canon anymore, but that was just a reference that I just was just so extra. Like, no, stop this.
Please don't.
Yeah.
So, actually, Ghost, say you're gonna head out now, or
Yeah, I'm gonna step out now. Great talking to all you guys, and going to the movie with you, of course. FOC. Just want to say one last thing here. The music in this movie, as you alluded to, was just like the best music we've had in the Transformers movie. I remember sitting there. I was sitting at the back with Professor D, and almost every hip hop song was coming on. We're just like,
I can imagine him head bopping a lot to this movie.
Yeah.
Oh no! I asked Jess. I'm like, were they singing along with the songs? And she was like,
we
I
were.
think so.
There were the two little boys that were sitting next to the right of me. They were singing along to the music and like bopping their heads and fist bumping with me when like Bumblebee and Mirage came back. Yeah. Everybody was getting into the music.
Yeah, I gotta get the soundtrack to this. I have the Bumblebee soundtrack. I need the soundtrack to this. I don't know if it's out physically or on iTunes yet. I think it exists just has a Spotify list at the moment, but I'll look into that.
I know Mike and I have it already. So
Yeah,
okay.
we already have those songs.
Yeah, we grew up with that stuff. So.
Yeah, but what about like the new song they did and whatever other stuff they want to fit on there?
That's the exception. Yeah,
That's the exception.
They credited somebody else for being the music writer, but then I noticed the music producer or the whoever was in charge of the music was Steve Jablonsky, the guy from the Bay movies.
Oh yeah, they did straight up reuse like the Arrival on Earth theme at the end there, or the Autobots theme.
I thought it sounded familiar.
Yeah,
That's what in reading about that, like what you just mentioned, I read somewhere there's like that's what's tying it back to the Bayverse or whatever, and I'm like, oh please,
It needs something stronger than a soundtrack to tie it back to those movies.
Yeah, so just wait, let's see where it goes. And
they literally, it's like they listen to my criticism. When I watched Bumblebee, I was like, there was a few points here where I'm like, they could have just busted into a specific Steve Jablonsky theme, but they didn't. And this movie, they just did. They're like, all right, we're just going to bring those back because that music was all really good. So
it was.
Those are just the movie themes now, regardless of the universe. I'm like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, kind of like how they reused the prelude music in Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, like basically. Let's add Steve Jablonsky to the canon of stuff that gets used. Oh, and Freakenstein says if Cybertron's Free can't sing on it, it should not be on a movie. What are they going to be on the soundtrack to one of these?
Is that the group that cosplays as Transformers and they do a lot of covers?
Yep, that's them.
Yeah, I don't know where they are now, but they used to be Toronto-based, so I saw them live like a bunch of times because they would always play around Fan Expo. So,
yeah, I really want to see those guys. Something that really got me, they made the same mistake in this movie that they made since the 2007 movie, where Mirage says, "Oh, you can just sell me and I'll just leave." And they made the same mistake in the 2007 movie where, Shia LaBeouf bought Bumblebee off the car lot. You can't buy a car without a title, right?
I was wondering about that.
You can't. I mean, you can, but then you can't tag it or do anything with it. So, like, how in the hell did Shia LaBeouf tag the car, insure the car with no kind of VIN number, no kind of title? And the same thing with Jazz. Like, ain't nobody that's spending that much money on a car just going to give you money for the car with no title. The Lamborghini at the time was a $200,000 car. Changed on that F1 car. That F1 car was probably, which was a cool callback to Mirage, but that F1 car is probably $1 million car. No one's buying that stuff without a title.
Well, it's kind of like how they don't show darkroom photography in like films set during that time period where film photography was still a thing. I mean, I've maybe only seen like one film where they actually showed them using a stopper and they don't just magically appear to pull the photos out, merge, and all done developing and not, because if you don't use stopper, the photo will just turn black, the whole thing.
Yeah. Anyway,
but you don't see that.
My no prize explanation for that is Noah's not a thief by trade and Mirage is not human, so neither of them knew that wasn't going to work. They didn't. They're like, we don't know how this works. This sounds like it'll probably work.
Well, PRGMR says, all right, guys, this was fun. I'm going to hop off. See you all in the G1 group, and thank you for coming out, along with in the comments, along with everyone else in the comments. We're not done yet, but yeah, peace out to you. Freakenstein says, let's see. I have 3 Transformers costumes, G1, Megatron, Soundwave, Optimus Prime. I go to cons and take pictures with everyone. I have a few videos, and I'm new to Transformers YouTube about 3 months ago.
All right, give this guy a follow. Is that your if that's your @ post what your @ is, if that's it. I don't know if that is or not.
Cool. And he's at 444 subscribers so far.
Oh, it's like you almost don't want that number to change just because of how perfect it is.
I know.
Jeez.
Well, a couple other thoughts. I know the one thing, it was in the one fight sequence with basically with between the Terracons and everyone else. it's kind of like that Bay thing again of like there's just 1,000 different like characters, generic characters running around in the background, and you don't really see like see any specifics. Which one thing which I was going to mention before, which it's kind of unfortunate for the Beast Wars side, that Rhinox didn't get any lines. I don't even recall Cheetor's lines, but when they transformed or maximized, it just kind of got blurred into the background. Whereas it's like I wanted to see what their robot molds look like.
Yeah, they didn't spend a whole lot of time on that, did they?
Yeah, no. You literally have to go look at their Studio Series figures to see what they look like in robot mode. And I've seen them, and I recognize that it is the same designs. That's the only way you get to see is if you look at the Studio Series stuff.
Crazy. Like, I mean, you barely get to see Primal's design when he transforms.
Yeah. At least they did there's the Scorpion. At least they did at least they homaged his like proper weapons and stuff. So he still had the two swords and everything. Yeah. It's kind of funny. Like, it's not literally the Bayverse ones, but like they had the Freezers, which are just like frenzies from the 2007 movie, and then they had those Scorpions, which were literally just Scorponok from the 2007 movie.
Oh, okay.
Not to mention how in Kingdom they had the Scorponox clones and that.
Yeah,
and then again with me going and Transformers Energon, you had the Terracons and that where you had the clones of the Dinobot clones, the Ravage-like bots, the Laserbeak types, and the Insecticon types, where it's just like gazillions of them.
Yeah. Well, it is relevant because like the Terracons, the name may have started out as being the Abominus team, but like they were in Energon. That's where they started calling them Unicron's drones. Like, so that is where that comes from.
How's it going to be Johnny?
Can you hear us? Can you see us? Are you going to just stare into our souls? Hello.
Oh, hey, what's going on, fellas?
Julian, how you doing, man?
How you doing, man? Me and the wife went to the movies again today and saw The Boogeyman. I'm just getting back from that. It was an okay movie. It wasn't all that great. It was all right. I'm a Stephen King guy, so I had to see it, just like I had to see Rise of the Beast.
Okay. What's
You
your
about the movie at all, or?
Yeah, what is your take on the movie?
Yeah.
I thought it was. I enjoyed it. I can say I enjoyed it. Obviously, I think Mirage stole the show. Pete Davidson did a pretty good job with that. I would give it like a 6. I give it a 7 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I do like that Prime was, he was like a G1 Prime, being very noble and, I like that Prime. I don't know. I mean, other people may not have liked it, but I like them for the most part.
See, I liked him too, but I was like, they found a way to justify the slightly more violent Bayverse version by making him be a guy who's going through it. That's how I took his character.
Yeah, and I wonder how they decided to go with like Mirage. Like, what was the thinking, and instead of like another character? You know what I mean? Like, how they go with Mirage, and obviously, you know why B's in there. He's like, the second most popular bot at this point, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But I wonder why Mirage.
Yeah, dude, it seems a little bit arbitrary, like why they made him be the guy that was going to be the new Kid Appeal archetype.
I love the soundtrack too, man.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta admit, that's like in my wheelhouse. In '94, I was in 11th grade, and
perfect timing.
I mean, to this day, if I pull up my iPod, I have all those. That's my genre, like the hip hop era during then. I say probably like mid to late 80s up through like close to the late 90s for me in terms of hip hop. Before the No Limit stuff. No Limit kind of killed things for me. But and also like with rock too. I liked all the alternative rock and all that. But in this movie, they really hit on a lot of. I thought it was cool, and I also thought that they made a conscious effort to be inclusionary on this because the leads weren't. They had a lot of diversity, racially, and it seemed like they were trying to be, inclusive with this movie. I thought it was cool, man, and yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting. I want a movie. I want the first however many minutes it was of Bumblebee. That's what I really want. But it was cool. I'm a Transformers fan, so
It's funny because Jess, who just walked in, who loved the soundtrack, did have a very specific complaint, and it was that the songs kept ending just as they were getting good. She was like, I wanted them to go a little bit longer.
I agree with that, actually.
Okay,
what
so
you guys think about
someone,
Scourge?
wait, hold on. Can someone to explain to me the voice of Murat, Pete Davidson? I don't know who the hell that is. He looks like one of the guys from Jackass.
Yeah, he does. He's from SNL. I guess SNL will be the major thing for him.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's not from Jackass. I mean, I swear to God. I mean, I remember watching Jackass as like a teenager. I remember seeing the guy, or the guy looks familiar from that. I just wondered if he was from Jackass, but he's from SNL.
Yeah, that's his main thing. I don't know. Spin. What else is he known for?
I'm the exact same thing. Like, I just know of him from SNL, but I haven't watched SNL in like decades. It's like, the last time I found them funny was, I think, probably early 90s. After that cast left, I refuse to watch it. Like, maybe once a year they'll have a good skit, but the rest of it is it's a train wreck.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If they have certain guys, like when Chappelle was on there, I'll catch his monologue.
Right.
Certain things like that, I'll do that. But that's not a must for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Those days, I go back to like the 80s, man, and when Eddie Murphy and and all the great comedians,
Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis,
classic.
They're the heavy hitters, and then there's the one set just right after when it was like Adam Sandler, like that era, which I think also Chris Rock came from as well.
Yeah.
Like, so after those guys left, and that's it. That was it for it.
Yeah. Even what's my man name? I can't think of his name. He was Hustle Man on the Martin Show.
Yes.
Can't think of his name.
Yeah.
He was in that really bad accident. He almost died.
Right. Yes.
Whatever his name is. Yeah, he was on there too. But yes, there's no one on there now. I know. What's the kid? Keenan.
Oh, right.
He's on there. I mean, there's still some funny spots, but again, it's not a must.
I feel at times they're kind of sitting. They kind of sit on his shoulders to carry the whole show. Which the same thing happened to Mad TV. After some of the cast left, there was, I think, one cast member left, and it's almost like the show was sitting on his shoulders. Right. And it's like, you can't really, it's between a show of like multiple talented people to like now there's only one talented person.
Right. Yeah, that's not sustainable. I mean, not for like a sketch, the comedy sketch type deal. It's just, you need a team for sure. Like, I look back at some of the old shows. I mean, not to get way off topic, but I'm a nostalgic guy. Obviously, I'm into Transformers. I just like my, that mid to late '80s up through like the mid to late '90s, just for entertainment. Yes. Even movies, like when Tarantino was doing this thing. I just like that era, man. I just do, So I'll sit there and watch like old shows, like what was the Wayans brothers, In Living Color, like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm like, man, this stuff was really funny. You can never do it today. Like, that kind of stuff would never fly. It'll get canceled quick. Yeah, people will probably lose their careers. Yeah, remember when he was the superhero, the handicapped superhero? That would never fly today.
No, you couldn't do that now.
Oh man, come on, crazy.
Which is kind of stupid because the handicap community probably freaking loved it.
Exactly.
Oh God, who was it? Carlos Mencia, I think it was. He always said that if you can't make racist type jokes in a room of the people that you're making fun of, then you don't have any business making that joke. So he did a show one time, and he had a retard skit, right? Yeah, where he kind of acted.
What did I walk into?
But he went to a show and of handicapped people, and they all were cheering. He wouldn't do it because he felt bad, but they were all cheering him on to do it. And then once he started doing, his whole handicap bit, they just erupted in applause and laughter, and everybody there loved it.
Is this Pete Davidson?
No, Carlos Mencia. They were just mentioning that you couldn't do a lot of things that you could do on SNL and older comedy shows nowadays because you get canceled, cancel culture and wokeism and all that. They brought up somebody. What was it? Handicapped superhero?
Oh, Handyman from in Liver College.
Okay, I don't remember that, but
YouTube.
I'm going to actually now. But when they mentioned that you couldn't do it now, and I said, well, that's too bad because the handicapped people probably freaking loved it.
Mm-hmm. Well, like movies like that, Blazing Saddles, Airplane.
Never.
They never be made nowadays. They just
actually, they showed.
The funny part about that is, people, they pick and choose what they get offended with. Like you can't sit there and laugh at engagement. Like be a person, a Spanish black person, then get offended when it's a black or Spanish joke. You know what I mean? Like you can't pick and choose when to be offended. That's just how I feel about it. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna be offended, just be offended. On everything.
They actually showed Blazing Saddles on TV the other night, and they cut out all the offensive parts. It was an 8-minute long show.
Yeah, no Mel Brooks movie, whatever. He wouldn't even exist.
Well, he's making the History of the World show.
Yeah, he made History of the World Part 2, and it was freaking fantastic.
Wow, that wasn't a comedy though, was it?
Yeah, it was kind of like a spoof on human history, and
so he's adapted. Good for him.
Well, no, I mean it's a sequel from his original 1980. I think the original History of the World was 1980, and it's a faithful sequel to that. He doesn't pull any punches in the show, and it's hilarious. It's Mel Brooks, like we've wanted to see him for the past 30 years? What the last thing Mel Brooks did? Like Men in Tights?
Right.
Men in Tights. That was weird. That was early 90s, right?
Mm-hmm. I think, early mid-90s, yeah. Again, going back to your time frame of, things, all the good things ended when Mel Brooks stopped making movies. I'm just going to throw it out there.
There you go.
As far as I know, the new thing is still a comedy. I dropped it for a second.
And it's hilarious, yeah. Yeah, if you're a Mel Brooks fan, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Make a little note so I don't forget.
And now I gotta look up Handyman. Yeah.
It's hilarious, man, but it's so again, it was just a different time back then. People were way less sensitive and different time. I don't even think they could do an homage to that nowadays. And people would lose their shit. I know they would.
So going back to the Transformers,
you have to be mentally challenged. It's not saying that those terms should be used. The old terms should be used, but you can't call people midgets. That's derogatory. I'm not saying that's not wrong. But it's little people.
Man, I play Xbox with a good friend of mine that I've been friends with for almost 10 years, and she's trans. She's very into the trans community and everything. She makes jokes about herself.
Exactly. So we have a football team here that used to be called the Washington Redskins, right? Football team, and they made them change the name because it was a deemed offensive, right? And I wasn't crazy about the name, so I was on board for the name change. But come to find out, there was a huge outpouring from the Native community supporting the name and saying no, this name represents and all the history of all this stuff. And come to find out, there's 100 schools named Redskins, mascots of the Redskins, on these reservations and across the country.
Didn't they do the same thing to the Cleveland Indians?
Yeah, they did. They're the Guardians now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Crazy.
Interesting. Did not know about. Yeah, in terms of like the Redskins name usage in like all those other schools.
I mean, I knew they changed it, but I didn't know any other
Yeah, I'm on all the Facebook sites, pages, and people they lost their mind behind it. They were like, they really took pride in that name. I'm like, wow, But I'm like, well, suppose they would call it the Washington Blackskins. I mean, I don't know how I would feel about that. Just got to keep it real.
Yeah, TF Johnny, he might know. Like, I went to a school called Henrico High in Henrico County, and they had the Henrico Warriors, which is a Native American Indian. I'm sure it's not that now.
I know Henrico. That's like Richmond, right?
Yeah, it's near the off. If you're off on Trio 1, that little part where I think it's Henrico that's shaped like an infinity symbol, and it's narrow, and it narrows down to the center, and you have like Hanover, Henrico, and Richmond all close together, like within 10 minutes, if even that. And it's not far from like the border, the Henrico-Richmond border, that high school.
I'm not familiar with the high school, but I know the area.
Yeah, that Trio 1 route.
That's where I go now. I have family in Petersburg, so we go down 301. You stay off of 95 as much as possible because it's a highway to hell.
Ooh, yeah.
Highway.
Yeah, that's a way to give yourself a heart attack, is to ride down Interstate 95. F that.
Toy Work, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was gonna throw it back to the movie. I think a cooler ending, figuring that they own the rights to it
I had
now.
to reset my router.
That would do it.
Okay.
Welcome back, Bill. But I think a cooler ending than the G.I. Joe one would be, if the government saw, like the FBI or whatever saw, how the Transformers were weaponized in car mode, that they would, copy that and bring out Mask instead of G.I. Joe. I thought it would be a lot cooler ending.
I don't know. If G.I. Joe is already kind of a reach to get off the ground for a movie, I think Mask is an even bigger reach. I would certainly like to see it, but I'm like, is that within the realms of feasibility and as a major motion picture?
If they can do Transformers, they can do Mask or G.I. Joe.
Well, no, but G.I. Joe doesn't work. I mean, it's been 3 movies now, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, they didn't have the right direction. They have a better direction and better actors. I think it'll do well. And G.I. Joe's more popular. Like, I think G.I. Joe.
Oh, you're one of those kids, huh?
I think so. I think G.I. Joe was more popular than Mask.
No. Oh, the Mask. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I thought you were referencing it back to Transformers. And I was just saying earlier about how I always got in fights with other kids on the playground about which was better, Transformers or G.I. Joe.
Transformers is the best.
And now I'm laughing in their face because your movie has to ride off the coattails of our movie to even get up off the ground. So.
But you know what? Transformers was the best, but popularity-wise, like growing up for me as well, it was more G.I. Joe. Like almost like everyone around me was more into G.I. Joe and maybe 1 or 2 into Transformers.
It was because G.I. Joe was more affordable.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
G.I. Joe was, all of us had, well, everybody in my area anyway, it's a very poor area. We're farmers. But, we all had all the mini bots. We only have one or two of the mainline big guys.
Right.
But G.I. Joe figures, oh man, you get 5 or 6 of them every birthday, every Christmas. They're in the stockings, because they were a couple bucks a piece.
Yeah, they're like $2.99 or something a piece. You're right.
Yeah. Now, none of us had any vehicles.
Nah.
Except for the trouble bubble, the little round thing that had the rocket pack on the back and the gun underneath, and the Cobra glider, the little white hand glider thing. But we didn't have
bubble. I think Destro. That was just like a little vehicle.
Yeah, like everyone had even I had, I think, Snake Eyes at the time, but everyone had a G.I. Joe character, but no one had a vehicle for G.I. Joe.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Nah. And he's right. All I had growing up was like mini bots. I did get I think some of the cars. I think like Sunstreaker. I might have had a Seeker, but for the most part, I got those through trades and things like that, right? But buying stuff that was bought for me as gifts. Nah, Bumblebee, Gears, Tailgate, Wind Charger, all that crap. So
I only know about most of the exotic vehicles from the various Transformers crossover comics.
As much as I talk shit about G.I. Joe, my holy grail is actually the flag. So I can't talk too much shit about G.I. Joe. That's my holy grail is the freaking flag. I want a flag so bad.
oh, do you? Oh, you don't have it?
Oh God,
Wasn't
no.
it
That's 2,500 plus.
Yeah.
I'm like, where do I've seen pictures of how big that was? What did they expect kids to keep this?
How did they expect,
The whole area in the basement.
how did they expect
Yeah.
parents to buy that?
I never knew anyone that had one. I've only seen one in person, and that was back when I went to Indianapolis to get Peter Cullen and Frank Welker's autographs. There was a toy
Not
store
Brandon.
that had posted the grand opening, and so we went by it, and they had one sit in there as their main display.
Wow.
And the guy said that he had got it at a like a swap shop when he was in his 20s, and he's had it ever since. And this is the first time that he's ever had a place big enough that he could put it out. Yeah, it's like 7 feet long. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a coffee table. It's basically what it is, a
Holy
coffee
crap.
table.
It's big.
I've never seen
It's
one.
really big.
Oh, it's huge.
Never seen
And you know what? It's the jets that G.I. Joe had, the Tomcat that G.I. Joe flew around in, because it had to fit a 3 3/4 figure. It was huge compared to it was way out of scale with the carrier, right? Where the Seekers, they would fit perfectly on the carrier. And that's what I want to do. I want to get the flag and then put the Seekers on it.
But the flag is
Yeah,
the good
there's
guy.
the thing.
The Seekers are bad.
I can figure out something on my head to where, you know, that. What is it? It was a Tomcat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's an F-14 Tomcat.
Is that the HasLab one?
No, this is the original.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
ooh.
that's good,
The
man.
It had
HasLab,
that
the
gimmick?
HasLab one
Nice.
fits the HasLab one fits the 6-inch figures. It's huge.
Oh boy, I
That's
bet
a
it would
very
be.
good looking plane, man.
Hey, for the sake of insanity, somebody should do the math and figure out how big a hypothetical classified 6-inch scale flag would be.
Oh gosh.
Jesus
God.
Christ. That
Have
will
you ever
break-
been
you have to
on?
get
Have you
that
ever been
finance.
on a real aircraft carrier?
Oh, I
don't
want
think
to
you
so
understand
bad.
I don't understand you. I don't think you understand how big.
Oh, I
that
was in the
thing
Navy.
is.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Right there.
Oh yeah, they're cities, man. They're floating cities. They're freaking malls and bowling alleys on them things, man.
Right.
That's crazy.
I know all
didn't get
about
to
them, but
get
I've never
on
gotten
one.
to see one.
But we got to be on the pier while one was out in the bay. And then when a buddy of mine retired from the Navy, and I went down to pick him up, and I was just like, "You have got to be kidding me!" I mean, it's it was hundreds of yards away from us, and it was still took up the entire view of everything you were looking at.
Yeah, we had to do sea trials and like battle formations and all this military crap, right? And we had to protect the carrier. We used to go out and do drills, and essentially you have frigates, you have cruisers, destroyers, and the carriers, and supply ships and stuff like that. But basically, our job was to protect the carrier. So with missiles and torpedoes or whatever would come, the frigate, that was their job, to be missile sponges. You protect the carrier like at all costs. And when I found out about that, I was like, "Alrighty then."
That's why
This is what I signed
You were considering your career choices.
Man, and I was an engineer, so I was in the engine room below the water line. So like,
Oh,
if you get hit with a torpedo, there's no way. I'm
Yeah,
getting out.
you did.
No way. No way.
That's why I've always had the argument that Metroplex and Fortress Maximus are not the biggest Autobots. Broadside is.
He would be, yeah.
Mhm.
Not
the toy.
gosh.
That toy is pretty puny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The G1 one. Anyway.
If they were real, if Broadside was the size of a real aircraft carrier, he would be monstrous.
Yeah, he would be.
well, I guess maybe that was the idea in season 3 when he dropped on top of Devastator.
I would buy that, yeah. Just an aircraft carrier that shrinks into an aircraft, so he's either a giant jet or a very small boat.
That's right.
Can I ask a quick question about the movie, real fast?
Oh,
I mean,
yes, please. That's
no
what we're here to
spoilers,
talk about.
right? I mean, we all we're all like talking spoilers anyway, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So the battle
It's in the title.
so the first battle between Prime and Scourge, like if Scourge was infused with Unicron's power or strength or whatnot, shouldn't he have killed Prime? I mean, I don't know. It felt like he was way outmatched. Like I don't even think there should have been that much of a struggle. I mean, I know it was a movie, and they're gonna stretch it out and all that kind of stuff.
Well, he almost did. He only survived because Airazor distracted him, and then he was like, "Oh, forget it. Let's just go." Like he fully had him on the ropes. Like it's 80s cartoon logic. Like
Well, basically, I mean, they had the key by that point, and really, Scourge, Nightburn, and Battletrap, they were basically just having fun fighting them. Really, at that point, and it's like, you know what? We got what we got. We don't need this extra trouble.
And then the second fight. No, and then towards the end, of course, it's coming to the climax. The good guys are, about to triumph, right? And he just manhandles Scourge at the end, like, pretty much manhandled him.
This fight, not that fight. This fight.
Oh, the third fight. You're right, because they fought along the mountain. Well, the last fight is what I meant.
It's the power of his rage, and also the fact that he had a human ally who could slice his ankles.
I didn't like that
his
part.
Achilles tendon or whatever.
Yeah, his Achilles tendon. Yeah, straight
I didn't
up.
like him being in that suit, man. Was that like a throw? Was that like a spike kind of?
It's everything. Everybody.
It's everything.
Is that what they're saying? I didn't like
So
it's the exosuits.
Anthony,
It's
go ahead
Force.
and give him this what you've been saying, Anthony. You might as well.
It is Spike He's exosuit according to Jess. It is Master Force according to me. It is Kicker from Energon according to him. It's a Power Master outfit according to somebody in the comments. It is every exosuit ever fused into one.
Yep.
I don't know. I like the boss kind of battling on their own. I always thought, even at the G1 cartoon, I just felt like humans got involved too much. Obviously, they want to, make a connection with the human and bot alliance, alien, human. I get all that. It annoys me though.
I thought it was cool. We're getting to actually be believable that a human would be able to do something in this situation.
Well, keep in mind, he's trained as in the military too. I mean, he was former military.
Like I said, he's an ex-soldier, so I can believe that he can hold his own in a combat situation, unlike so many other lead characters in the other films.
And
but he wasn't.
Yeah, and if he's someone who would have to take out a tank, if they're gets taken by surprise with people with tank or a Humvee or something like that.
He wasn't special forces or anything. He's probably trained.
True.
He's probably changing oil or something on the tank or something. I don't know.
There's still training there, and if you were in the Navy, you know that.
I was, and to be honest, you know what, we had marksman practice with a 22 rifle. I remember doing that. We had to shoot a 40 cal revolver to stand watch, armed guard watch, but it was no hand. I was in the Navy though. I don't know. He was in the Army or something. Maybe they do that. I don't know.
I remember my buddies telling me that in basic training they were taught how to kill somebody with their digging axe, their digging shovel. They were taught how to kill somebody in basic in like the first 90 days.
So I tell you what I got trained in. So they showed us how to take out dungarees, tie the bottom of your pants legs, and pat the water to force air into them, and tie the waist and use it as a flotation device until you get rescued.
We did that in Boy Scouts.
There you go. That was our thing. We weren't shown how to kill people.
Not to change too much of the subject. I've only got about 10 more minutes, and then I got to hit the hay. I made a post on our thing. I have been asked to run a panel next year. So, do we have a problem with me using the Children of Primus title on that at the convention next year?
Gosh, no, represent, please.
I'm good with it.
Yeah. Somebody said that we have a banner or we could get a new one, whatever. We've got a year to, it happens this weekend every year. But yeah, we'll be doing a Transformers panel on extreme collecting, Q&A, do's and don'ts. And then I will also be doing just a Transformers panel later on for the weekend.
Spin, I think you're the one that said that you've got the banner.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Dumb question. How much do the banners cost? Because let's see if I can get it here. Let me see if I got a buddy that makes neon signs, and they're
Canadian
only around
prices.
they're only around $300 a piece. You could get a Children Primus neon sign to take with you. I've had those banners made before, and they were stupid expensive. I mean, I remember one banner was like $150, $200. I mean, for $300, you can get a freaking neon light.
Our banner was actually, what was that? I think maybe within the 150 range, which I actually have just like a few feet away from me, which we're gonna have at the TFCon Toronto, July 8th to 10th, I believe. So yeah, in a couple of weeks. But yeah, our banner.
Jesus, that's coming up.
Yeah, it is. It's around the corner. But yeah, our banner I think was about 150 at most. But we got it last year around this time, so I don't remember the exact price. But at least the print shop was good that did it for us.
You said that, and I'm like, oh, there's so many things I still have to do.
I saw you go into panic mode there.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 2 hours away, and he also has a HasLab Unicron, and so I'm going to have both forms of Unicron up there. On the table.
Nice.
Well, we'll have the planet
People will
form,
show up
robot
just to
form.
see that.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on taking one of my Detolfs and one of my Billies in, everything to show proper cabinetry and shit like that.
I've said, like, one of the appeals at TFCon is you'll see things like that, be that from fans or from people on doing store displays of stuff that you will never own, that you don't have space for. And it's you know what it is? It's like going to the zoo, but for expensive robots. That's part of the appeal.
Yeah, that's part of what. There's a store I go to in Dayton, Ohio called Mavericks. And I mean, I'll buy a lot of Transformers, but then there's some like, yeah, I'm never going to buy that one or that one, that one. It's nice to look at, but I'm never buying that one. I can buy that one. So
Where's
it's like,
the panel going to be, Mr. Magnus?
I'm sorry, say again.
Where's this panel going to be?
It's going to be at OMG Con in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Yeah, I would come if it was closer. That's a good ways away.
Start walking now.
It's a good place. And Johnny, I can promise you two things. One, you won't have to pay for a hotel because you stay right here at my place. Two, you'll have the best food you've ever eaten while you're here.
Nice. I thank you for that. Never come to DC, man. Just hit me up.
And I put that out to anybody. If y'all ever get to the Midwest down here on the Ohio Valley, you just hit
which
me
part
up.
of the Ohio Valley you in, Bill?
In southern Indiana, little town called Rockport.
Yeah, the next state. That's the next state over from me in Ohio, right?
Yeah, the company that I work for is actually based out of Columbus, Ohio. I go to Columbus. I go to Columbus twice a year.
I'm sorry.
There. Yeah, but guys, that's really close to my time, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll on out of here.
All right.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And I will
See
see
you
you
next week, my friend. Yep.
Have a good night.
See you
Take
guys.
care, sir.
Freakenstein says, I'm trying to get to TFCon Toronto, going to London Comic Con, try and sell my custom Transformers t-shirts and stickers to get there. All right. Well, we'll some of us will be there if you're there. Me and Spin and a few others. The Canadian crew, which is me, him, Orlotti, Professor D.
I would actually come up there. I will meet you guys up there, but like I said, we're busy. We're going to Alaska, actually. We'll be there during that time.
Well, show up on your way to Alaska. You got to drive through the whole country to get there.
I know, right? No, we're flying to Seattle, and then we're getting on a Carnival cruise line, and then we're going to ride the boat up.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think my grandpa and grandma from Michigan did that at least once, if not twice. That type of cruise that you're talking just described.
I want to see the Northern Lights in person, man. That's like a bucket list thing. So,
there's also Southern Lights as well in Australia, I believe.
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that.
Makes sense.
I've never heard of them either, but I know about the Northern Lights. And they say it's
just look up the Southern Lights.
Learned about Aurora Borealis from G1 Transformers.
I learned about it from The Simpsons.
I forgot about that.
Very pleasing to my optics.
In this time, in this place, localized entirely within your kitchen. May I see it? No.
Oh yeah, something about the movie. I heard. I think it was TJ Omega that saw. He's comment that their version of Wheeljack gave him Beachcomber vibes, like when he was transforming, the birds were coming out, and he's like nature and all chill and stuff.
Yeah, you know,
I'm
a little
curious
bit.
if you.
It was he did get that lovely scene where Anthony Ramos thought he was Spanish and was trying to figure out where he was from. That was a wonderful exchange.
Yeah, what was
that was so cringe. Like, oh, it's 2023 still, man. Come on.
One man's cringe is another person's treasure. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah. So I mean,
Well, it can be both. It can be funny and cringe. Still.
Yeah.
So what would you guys have rated overall? Just curious. I want to know what everybody.
Oh yeah, we said that at the top of the hour, right? Or no, not the top of the hour. Like 45 minutes in, I did 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I gave it 8.
Okay.
Toy Facts gave it a 9, surprisingly, and I was like, I'll go with 8 something, and Toy Fact Warp was 6.5, I believe.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I said 7. Yeah. I don't know, man. They should have never given me that first part of Bumblebee, man. You know, I mean, again, I know they want to bring the Beast Wars fans into it and stuff, and I like the Beast Wars characters in there for the most part.
We're getting that soon. I mean, Chris Hemsworth is Optimus, but you know, other than that, it's that animated movie that they're doing, which is like a confirmed thing. They got the cast and everything. Like I said, Chris Hemsworth is young Optimus, not old Optimus. That's why it's Chris Hemsworth.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw that there's videos that Peter Cullen is still doing an Optimus voice, so
yeah,
literally what yours is saying. I saw that maybe this morning.
The working title is Transformers 1. But that's probably not going to be the actual movie's title. That's just the project name because it's a prequel.
Is it going to be a theater release or is it going to be like a Netflix thing?
As far as we know, it's theatrical. It seems to be. Nobody knows what continuity it's in. I'm just betting it's its own continuity because that tends to be how these things go. People think that they're like, you know, Spider-Verse did good. They're making all these high-end animated movies in response to that. This is probably one of those, you know, not in terms of any plot or multiverse stuff, but just, you know, like a cartoon movie out of a franchise.
What did you guys think about Optimus Prime's weird mouth without the faceplate?
Oh, I forgot about that. I'm not really liking the mouth anymore.
They said they modeled his face after Peter Cullen.
Yep.
So that had that going for it.
Yeah, they need to go back to the mouth plate.
That was he needs his faceplate. It was too small. It was like a child's mouth.
Well, at least he didn't have
he was like his helmet. The rest of his helmet was like too big or too small for the rest of his face. It just didn't look in proportion with each other. It looked right when the faceplate was up, but then
that Megatron had in the Netflix series. That would have been even more awkward.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah.
Oh, the luscious lips.
That was extra.
Angelina.
Then
they gave the luscious lips to Wheeljack in this one.
And then
who didn't have it there?
And then Combiner Wars and the Prime Wars, you had Overlord. He had the luscious lips in that.
Yeah.
Right.
So we only get one luscious
and the
lips
Southern
having
Growl.
Transformer per show or movie.
Luscious lips.
I thought RC was pretty cool in the movie too. I thought she was pretty.
I thought it was a neat stunt how she's like small enough that she could fit inside Wheeljack's van mode. And first they did that for like humor because she's just in the back while they're there, and then later they just do the big stunt hanging out the side. That was a good spot for them to do.
I thought it was kind of weird. I got a weird feeling too when they were in that raggedy plane, whatever that Transformer's name was.
Stratosphere.
Yeah. They were in the cargo hold, and Prime kind of had his one leg cocked up, looking out the window. I was like, that's kind of cool, kind of different.
You don't see them just ever being casual in these movies because they don't usually have time.
A dude deep in thought, thinking about B, just got killed. You know.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Another thing I noticed was I don't know, somebody at Bay Films, because I noticed at the end it's one of the film companies that were credited for it was Bay Films.
Yeah.
Who at Bay Films has this thing for Wheeljack to be just a complete nerd? Like, they changed Wheeljack's name to Q in whichever Bay 4 movie it was and made him look like Einstein, completely ran away from all of the iterations of Wheeljack. And then they do the same thing here. You know, the whole Urkelbot thing was just too much.
He's an inventor. He's an eccentric inventor. That part, at least, is true.
Yeah, it was there, and I loved his G1 design, man. I thought it was one of the cooler looking. You know, and they just, I don't know.
Yeah, I said earlier in the show, I feel like he wound up on the cutting room floor, if any, because he wasn't in this very much after all of that, and I wonder if that was a result of feedback, if they just clipped his role.
I wonder why it was so little. It was like there weren't a lot of bots. Like, I wonder how why they go with you.
Before seeing the movie, like just with all the brown and white, he always gave that design. Gave me more, maybe except for the face, brainstorm designs. I mean, not brainstorm.
Chrome Dome.
Maybe it is Chrome Dome. Yeah, Chrome Dome.
The Chrome Dome for sure.
Huh. Yeah, I got the card. Yeah.
I think he would have made a good Chrome Dome.
Yeah, you're right.
I could have lived with him being Chrome Dome. He would still have that kind of smarty pants. I mean, at least with the name.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's the original.
It would give a Transformer they hadn't had in live action movies a chance.
Yeah.
They done Wheeljack, two other interesting.
Yeah, I mean they're not above using deep cuts, and that's barely a deep cut at this point. That's like a light middle length cut. This is the movie that has Ape Link and Stratosphere in it. Chrome Dome barely qualifies as obscure. Yeah.
Are you surprised they didn't have any hints of like Decepticon? Or did I miss anything? Like any?
Well, I told
anything.
As I've said before, there was supposed to be a Decepticon named Transit in this, but he got cut because the scenes involving him were like too dark. This is what the director said in a video. That bit at the beginning where Optimus Prime is walking through a bus station in the rain. That was supposed to lead into a scene where one of the buses was a Decepticon named Transit, and they were going to get into a fight, and it was a whole thing. Because he was there looking for him, and then he would dump his body in the river at the end, and everybody was like, "What the hell? This is kind of dark." Yeah.
And there were also Decepticon emblems on Scourge as he took the emblem off of. Yeah, there was also Decepticon emblems on him. So
obviously Predacon emblems.
That was pretty cool, Toy Wolf. That whole collecting of the badges. I thought that was dope.
You know what? I didn't really notice them on his. I mean, I noticed that he had a few on his arm, but when he transformed, they were all over the grill, and I was like, "Oh!"
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that. I also like when he thought that he had the whole key and they found half, and he tortured him. Like that's kind of like an homage too, right? The whole Galvatron trying to buck the system and paid the price.
Yeah, it's the same distant psychic torture because the way he was hovering there and everything. They just didn't use the sound effect in red light, but it's the exact same effect.
I wanted to see him in bot mode too. I thought that was going to be like a payoff. Like you get to see this gigantic planet in bot mode and like this big,
more often than not, he hasn't transformed. It didn't happen in the Armada comics or the Armada video game, or there's quite a few times where he's just a planet and that's it. It depends on the scope of the story. I would have liked to see it too. Maybe it'll happen in the future, but it's not a guarantee.
Just the scale of it, like in modern, animation. Like to see how they.
Yeah, I'm half tempted to maybe go see it in IMAX just to see what Unicron looks like in that format.
I was just impressed they did a whole eating another planet thing, like Unbroken. That was already impressive by my account,
No, it was. Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, I thought he'd look fantastic, and when he was starting to eat the world, I kind of grabbed a hold of my seat a little bit, like ooh,
really
long time.
Really good sound processing on that. I thought really overwhelming. Yeah, maybe a good IMAX would be a good way if they do something with that.
But you know what? No, I gotta admit, man, sitting in the theater and like watching Prime, man, I just got goosebumps and just.
Oh yeah.
I felt like my heartstrings got pulled a little bit, man. Just watching them transform and just seeing them in that G1 ish, look, man, just it does it for me, man.
Oh yeah. Like, regardless of any quibbles I might have, I left this thing feeling real good. So like, I'm holding on to that feeling,
Yeah, I enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah, I'd say all like the beginning before the humans pop up, I was getting chills, and then the rest of the movie, once they got back to the Transformers, I was pretty much smiling the whole time.
Yeah. So I even like
except when I was going like this, and I was like, "Oh fuck."
Isn't it great? I mean, I think it's the best movie experience of my life, believe it or not, was the first like American live action. Well, I guess it wouldn't be the first. The newer style of Godzilla movies, because on Saturday mornings I'd wake up and watch the Saturday morning cartoons, and if the weather was crappy out, which it often was in Ohio, either two things come on afterwards. They were either Godzilla movies or Smokey and the Bandit movies. They didn't have a whole lot of other stuff that came on in my area. So I watched a lot of Godzilla movies when I was a kid. And when in the newer Godzilla movies, when he first powered up his laser breath, I literally felt myself hunching down on my seat, grabbing the arm, like I know what's coming, and this is on a scale that I've never seen before.
Nice.
And then I ain't gonna lie, I shed a tear because I literally felt 8 years old again. When a movie can do that for you, that's tits. That's the best experience you can have. And I'm saying all that because we got a lot of that experience with Optimus Prime being the way he was in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. My wife went with me to go see Bumblebee, and I couldn't. I was crying in the head. I'm not gonna lie. I mean,
the club.
She's looking at me strange, like you're 40-year-old man. I'm like, let me have my moment. Let me have my moment, goddammit. And
I like the fact that they got to incorporate Till All Are One into the movie's dialogue for the first time. It was great to just use that.
A couple of times they mentioned that. A couple of times. Yeah.
They set up the guy knowing it because Optimus says it. He's like, the fight will continue till all are one. So
look, who was that guy at the end? With the whole G.I. Joe thing. Who was the guy who was talking to Noah?
Well, the business card said Duke something, and I'm thinking like, well, that can't be Duke. Yeah, the business card said Duke something. And I was like, that can't be Duke because Duke's big, strong. He was like Optimus Prime to G.I. Joe.
Exactly.
In the vast world of G.I. Joe, do they have any office worker pencil pushers with funny code names? That feels like a thing they'd have by now. Like literally just call him Pencil Pusher. That's his name.
Exactly.
That sounds real intimidating out on the battlefield. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Flint was more like Hot Rod. I guess he would be like Hot Rod in the G.I. Joe work. The young kind of next leader. Yeah, G.I. Joe was big. You didn't like G.I. Joe at all, Toy World?
Oh yeah, I mean, a little bit. Since I watched it so young, I swear to God, there's an episode where Shipwreck thinks he's going crazy, and he's surrounded by all these people made of clay. That's about the best way I can describe it. Like it was some kind of synthoid. I think that's what they call it, synthoids. But they're kind of like made of clay, and he got caught in like this dungeon in a basement somewhere, and he's locked up in this cage, and all these people that are made of clay kind of like melt down, come together, and they start coming after him. That shit gave me nightmares when I was a kid. Just
sounds like a strange adult film.
That sounds like
not that kind of dungeon, you freak.
I had a roommate that was into that type of stuff, and I heard sounds I didn't realize human beings could make. So I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I love.
Well, there goes the monetization again.
There it goes.
Get us banned from YouTube.
Strong second.
All you got to do is say 50 Shades of Grey afterwards, and everything's greenlit.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The only things main two things I always remember from G.I. Joe, from the TV series, the whole knowing is half the battle, and then from the movie, Cobra, la 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 la.
Yeah, everybody, including me, has seen the Finster Films parodies. They're like a cornerstone of internet culture. Even if you don't know what I'm talking about, you've seen them. You saw them at some point.
Oh, the one with the pork chop sandwiches?
Yeah. That whole series of videos. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Those
that was
predate YouTube. Those are like early internet stuff.
E-Bomb's World. Yeah.
Yeah. Him, body massage. The hey kid, I'm a computer. Stop all the downloading.
What? Whoa.
There's a handful of them, and it is amazing. And I know people who still talk about them. And then I think we watched them like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can still find them on YouTube. They'll always exist. When I think of the cartoon, that's what I think of more than anything else, because I never watched the cartoon. I watched the cartoon movie, for a laugh, but I've never watched the actual show.
Are you talking about G.I. Joe, the cartoon movie?
Yeah, the one with the Sergeant Slaughter and Falcon and stuff.
That was kind of traumatizing too, man. I don't know if you guys saw it in that. When Duke the Pentor and the snake spear and
and he's like changing into the snake afterwards.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Well, that's why they changed it, because they had such a bad experience with killing Optimus Prime. They were originally supposed to kill Duke. He was supposed to die in that scene.
Put Duke in a coma or something.
Yeah, and then at the end, they're like, okay, Duke came out of his coma. We've said it, now at the end of the movie, so kids won't start writing in and locking themselves in the bedroom for 2 weeks on the time.
It's one of the most bizarrely paced films I've ever seen. They're like, we're gonna do like the '86 movie and go, but then we're gonna stop the movie cold so we can go to boot camp, and then we're gonna go, and then we're gonna stop the movie cold so we can go to boot camp a second time, and Sergeant Slaughter is here, and then we're gonna go to the end. It's just strange pacing. Yeah,
Sergeant Slaughter and his Marauders.
Yeah. Like, no problem with him. Also, he should have shown up earlier in that movie. I was like, I knew he was in it going in, and I'm just like, where's Sergeant Slaughter? When's he going to be in this? That's one of the things I know about it. Frankenstein says G.I. Joe would do better if they merged with DC and they fought the Suicide Squad. That's not going to happen. Hasbro's pretty heavily in bed with Marvel. That's the only thing they've ever crossed over Transformers-wise.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they make the merchandise for. So if they're crossing over with anybody, they're crossing over with Marvel Comics.
I've seen some numbers.
Image Todd McFarlane Toys makes DC toys and Demon Slayer anime toys now. So strange bedfellows.
Do DC at the moment?
Yeah, he makes a lot of DC multiverse toys, and he's done recently I saw like Demon Slayer anime toys. So it's like freaky the stuff he makes, just compared to the 90s when he was just starting out with the toy thing.
Speaking of the toys, the Transformer movies, you have to kind of like offset what they're making in box office terms with the massive amount of sales that they're going to have. You know what I mean? And so I saw the $60 million, almost $65 million projected for the end of the weekend, which, isn't as big as a lot of the other hits this year. But, offsetting that with the toys is just going to be buku bucks.
Yeah. Mel Brooks, merchandise, where the real money's made. Apparently,
that's why George Lucas kept the merchandise rights.
Yeah.
That's why Hasbro's never going to let it go.
Well, look, even if you're not a Transformers hardcore fan, like we are, it's still the summer. It's a popcorn movie. It's, so people who know nothing about it still would be appealing to them,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, also given the extremely warm response in the theater I was in, I'm like, I feel like, it might be one of those movies with legs, because if word gets around,
Yeah, word of mouth.
Yeah, I don't know, because when I went today, I went to a 4:00 showing, and the theater was only half full.
We went to a 7:00 show on the premiere night, and it was pretty packed when we got there.
Yeah, I would imagine for a premiere night. But in contrast, a couple of weeks ago, I went to go see Guardians 3, and it was packed, and the movie had been out a month. And I went on a 6:00 show on a Tuesday.
Wow.
Oh yeah, nobody's ever going to do Marvel numbers. Everybody else has to set their expectations.
Yeah, they're on a whole nother level. They are. I'm curious to see what this Flash movie is going to do, because it looks great, man.
Oh God, that looks so cool.
Yeah, it looks.
I feel like I wonder if it's going to turn a profit, because I know it hasn't been in development for like 700 years and been reshot like a million times. So I'm really curious.
And then what's his name? The actor that plays Flash, just his more recent personal life history.
Yeah. That's why they're plugging Michael Keaton's Batman so hard. They're like, pay attention to him. Don't pay attention to this guy, to this one. Pay attention to him.
Play
I guess
the
there's-
one that doesn't have touchy hands.
Put his face in the trailer. Have him say the line from Batman '89. Look. Focus on that.
That's my sole reason for going.
Yeah,
There you go, right? Speaking of Batman '89, so when you all were talking about movies giving you nightmares, like as kids, that's the one that got me. Was Batman '89. So I was born in '83, so I would have been what, 6 years old.
Okay.
So
what
apparently,
in the
my
movie
mom
gave you nightmares then?
No, I'm 40 now. I was like 34 years ago. I don't remember.
You don't remember exactly what terrorized you about the movie back then?
It's 34 years ago. I don't remember. Like my mom told me I got nightmares from it.
I specifically remember that G.I. Joe episode that gave me nightmares. I remember it to this day. It gives me the creeps if I think about it too much to this day.
Yeah. I saw The Exorcist when I was,
I
was born in 77. So whatever year that came out, I was like 4 or something. And,
Jesus. That's a bad combo right there.
Unnaturally. And she started spitting on the priest and saying all the stuff she was saying. That terrorized me. I can still, I won't watch that movie to this day. I don't like stuff based in religion, even though I'm not like a believer.
So
it still bothers
me. You
like,
probably had driven by there, but I've been in the catacombs at the Sacred Heart Cathedral in Richmond, Virginia.
I've been past the steps.
Is that where they filmed the movie or something?
Fell down in DC?
No, just because exorcism is a Catholic saying. That just came to mind. That I've been in the Catholic Church's catacombs before. It was for college. That's all I can say.
Me tearing movies apart, at the end of Exorcist, where they said that she didn't have any lasting injuries or anything like that.
Shit.
She stabbed herself in her own genitals. I'm thinking that probably would have left a mark.
Her hand did a 180,
the power of,
a 360.
Yeah.
The power of Christ healed all of her wounds or something. I don't know. Literal Deus Ex Machina.
The power of Hollywood.
She needed more than the power of Christ. She needed the power of Christ, Moses, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna. Amarasu from Japan.
Exorcist cinematic universe featuring all the deities.
What happened to those kind of movies though? Like, because we just saw Boogeyman today, and it's like, it was so cookie cutter, it was so predictable. It was like, I like Stephen King, and it's like, but
it's just based on a short story, not even a novella, but it's just a short story.
The thing is, we remember the good
Cemetery
ones.
was too, though, and that was good. So.
Everybody remembers The Exorcist. I guarantee you, like 500 crappy horror movies came out the same year as The Exorcist. The Exorcist is just the one we remember. So I'm like,
so what modern day, what Exorcist do we have like in modern times, like in the last 10 years or something like?
I don't know. That's debatable.
The horror genre really like slowed down after it came out of its height in the 80s to where some movie would have to come out and push the genre forward, like Blair Witch Project being, kind of filmed with home cameras and everything. It gave it that extra creepy vibe, so it kind of revived the horror genre for another couple of years. Then it petered out, and then you got Saw, and that was something I remember a whole lot of the horror people talking about. But then it kind of petered out after that. Yeah, you're right. It's been quite a while since you had one of those movies that pushed that genre forward, and I'm not big in the genre, so I can't really tell you. But I'm sure something's going to eventually come along. We're in the petering out stage. Something eventually is going to come along to push it forward again. It refuses to die.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a popular genre for sure. It's just maybe The Conjuring kind of was okay. I thought
it's a popular genre because it's often thought of as something you can make on the cheap. So that's why so many get made.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it goes back to like what you were saying earlier in terms of the nostalgia of the 90s. It's basically the writers and the creativity where it's like there's and the time frame where certain shows of like the 70s and 80s, like that creativity and time frame, it worked in that sense where it's like you try to reboot it now and it's not the same. you know, almost like say redoing Knight Rider, where it's like as kids we're like a talking car that's never existed. That's so cool. You try doing that now, and we're like, well, there's Teslas, like there's thousands of talking cars, like that's not cool.
Yeah.
Well, plus back then, I mean, you were a lot closer to like the satanic scare, like serial killers becoming like something well known in the news media. Like a lot of the famous ones, like Ted Bundy, Marilyn Manson, and all of them.
Right.
Yeah, Freakenstein says nothing beats Hellraiser. I only saw that last year for the first time. Yeah, really nice high concept thing.
Yeah. It's so funny. You said there's a Boogeyman movie. I've never even seen a trailer for it. I don't think. But when you say Boogeyman, I immediately go back to Ghostbusters Boogeyman, and I know a lot of kids that watched that, and Boogeyman gave them nightmares. It was actually.
I know which episode you mean too.
Boogeyman came back for 2. Yeah, he was in 2 episodes, and a lot of kids say that because they actually had genuinely scary episodes, and a lot of kids said that that Boogeyman gave them nightmares.
It was the motivation of what's the main Ghostbuster, the smart one there. He was
Egon.
Right? It was like it haunted him as a kid, and this is why he busts ghosts now. That's what they remember them saying on the cartoon.
But I think like The Exorcist and some of those like religious-based horror movies, I think more people were more religious back in the day, so maybe it was a little harder.
Yeah,
people aren't as religious anymore as they used to be. I don't think. I mean, obviously the church still has a lot of power.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, one of the people I know that are most into horror movies is also one of the most religious that I know. Some Indian Pakistani girl that I'm friends with that lives in Karachi, and she loves Western horror movies. She's always talking about horror movies with me.
No, but that does tie in because just recently, someone I went to high school with mentioned that our high school's mascot's name is supposed to be changing. And the name of the mascot is called the Saints. And they're saying they're supposed to be changing it. And like, I could see how the name was relevant and more religious based decades ago within the area that we grew up in. Whereas like now it's a completely different demographic and there's a disconnect. So like, they want to change it to something that's more relevant to today's demographic. So it's no longer religious based in a sense.
Change it to the sinners.
We all screwed. They're going to hell.
Hey! If a team called that, if a team with that name's coming on the field, you think twice, regardless of the sport.
This is true.
They'll intentionally get fouls for breaking your arm.
Some children are just calling sick, and I'm like, "Oh, we're playing those guys." I'm calling it. I'm sick that day.
The replacements.
They broke their other team's quarterback's arm, throwing arm.
Speaking of remaking horror movies, apparently Christine has been greenlit, and they've actually got a director and writers on board for a reboot of Christine. Which, as a car guy, I'm all excited.
Yeah, I love Christine Lee. Again, I'm a Stephen King guy. I have all his books. I would love to see it if it's done right. I like how they did it.
I think this is actually. It would depend on how this works, but like it makes me think of like if I was going to do a modern Christine, I'd be like, oh, maybe the car's AI goes bad because that's a thing cars have now.
I don't know. Oh God, I don't know if you could change the car itself, like the make and model and stuff. I just don't know if that's something they could do and get away with because they were thinking about it when they remade the 2005 Dukes of Hazzard movie. They were thinking about changing what car the General Lee was, and Jay Chandrasekhar, he stepped up. It's like there's no way we can change that car, no matter what it costs. We have to have those cars. Yeah.
More than Bo and Luke Duke was the car, even though it had a Confederate flag on the hood. Whatever. That's still the General Lee. That's the General Lee.
The car is the star of the show and the movie.
Yeah. So like to Toy Whoop's point, they have to. He was like a 55.
She was a 58 Plymouth Fury.
Yeah. You got to have that, man. You have to.
And man, you want to talk about something really hard to procure nowadays? Like back then when they made the original Christine movie, she was only 30 years old or so, 25, 30 years old. Now that car's 60 years old now, 70 years old.
Crazy, Toy Whoop?
You shut your whore mouth. Okay, I don't want to hear about any of us getting old because we're not doing it. Nope.
Oh my god! Wow,
This is such a real.
that's crazy, man.
I don't want to hear it.
Flying by. Jeez.
Somebody post up the gif of Starscream crumbling to dust in the '86 movie.
Exactly. Blink of an eye, man. We're here. That's it.
See, you guys are making fun of old people. I think I'm older than all of y'all.
Well,
I don't know if I'd wear that as a badge of honor. I don't know.
You know, I don't mind. You know,
I don't mind
five-
getting older, man. It's like at least you're here to complain. You know, I can complain about my knee. I'm here to, to complain about my knee and my this and that. You know,
Old man yells at cloud.
You a young looking whatever you are, Dan.
me, well, thank you, but
I was saying Spin. Well, both. I was thinking of Spin since he pointed out he's older than everybody.
Oh,
but yeah, I guess.
Yeah, he doesn't mind it so much when the fucker still looks 30. You know,
Yeah,
he don't mind it that much.
yeah. Spence a
Just once
vampire,
asked to
but
look at his driver's license just to prove his age because she didn't know it.
He got
Yeah.
he was like 29.
That's always fun, pulling out your driver's license and be like people not believing your age, and it's like.
He's
You
like,
don't
"Let me see
believe
your
you just
papers, let me
show
see
it to
your
him with a
papers."
big ass smile on your face. You're like,
So I've been in a situation like years ago, like in a school, and this one teacher's like, you students shouldn't be here. And I'm like, I'm almost your age. I'm not a student.
Yeah, no wonder you don't mind it so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, which age bracket helps me in this situation? Let me analyze it.
Or which students do you have here that's like on the 23-year-old course? Like they should have been out long ago.
You see Spin walking in school like Steve Buscemi. Hello, fellow teenagers.
Or like, what was it? I was watching the old House Party movie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Ooh.
The whole, back that was like came I think in 90 or 91, and it was a group called Full Force back in the day. You might know them, Spin.
Oh yeah.
And they were playing high school students in this movie.
God.
And they were like 40 years old, so 35 or something.
Whoa.
Totally
House Party,
unbelievable.
wasn't that the one with Kid and Play?
Yeah.
Yep. Which
Okay,
they
yeah.
actually redid, which we will just pretend it doesn't exist. But
They're remaking everything.
yeah, but you look back on a lot of old shows and movies, especially high school based, with the exception of say like Saved by the Bell, like a lot of those shows you look back and like, wait, this actor was 37 and playing, like a high school student.
It's a catch-22 because teenagers wouldn't be very good at acting, or it'd be harder to find teenagers that are good at acting than it would be like seasoned professionals.
I don't know. A lot of the people in Greece looked pretty damn old, and their acting skills were kind of shit. So I don't know about that. I think I went with teenage casting on that one.
Well, I think it was, but with shows, I mean, in recent years, when they find younger actors, I think there's a more relatable connection where it's like, you see the characters like maybe a year or two older than the audience, as opposed to like they're 30 years older than the audience.
Yeah, like Stranger Things, Like
one
all
of
those
those-
kids were like really young when they brought them on the show.
Yeah, and that's hard to find. That was when Netflix was like, here, have infinity money, find the best little kid actors you can.
Yeah, and that's why it works. Like, the minute you say Stranger Things, like the children are just like, they're connected to it because they can relate to the characters.
Mm-hmm. They did a good job with that show because not only does the young characters resonate with a younger audience, but the nostalgic 1980s, we can relate to,
Yep.
So they hit on two fronts right there. That was pretty smart.
I enjoyed the as somebody who sees 80s montages like that all the time, I did enjoy Rise of the Beast cramming in as much 90s stuff as they could, like right out of the gate. Like the kid's got a Power Rangers t-shirt and he's got a Game Boy. And they did like
Sonics
so many
and
things.
Tail nicknames.
Yeah. They did so many things in a very short span. I was like, this is egregious, but I'm fine with it because usually this is 80s stuff, so this is different.
Oh, they crammed it. They crammed
it
early. It set the tone, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Freakenstein asked, what about Wednesday? The TV series.
I liked it.
they cracked down on Netflix passwords in Canada. I don't know if that's come to America yet, so I lost access to my Netflix that my family all paid into, because they were like, you know how you're not allowed to have, they don't want you
shared
sharing anymore.
passwords.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they, I don't know if that's hit you guys. That hit Canada, so I'm like, I don't got Netflix no more.
Oh, that's weird because when it hit us, they got such a huge backlash about it online. They doubled back and said, "Oh, sharing is caring. We're
Oh,
cool
that's
with
right.
it."
They did do that.
Shit, has that happened in Canada yet? I gotta ask my brother.
They allow you to share up to like 3 or something. What is it, Toy What?
I think
don't
it's
remember.
3.
Something like that. Yeah.
It was like
Yeah, I
it's
know I
about
got a
IP addresses
Netflix.
within like the range of a place. That's
Yeah,
like
they're
how they
the
checked.
the backlash was just massive. God, it was huge.
My brother's like a couple towns, like a town or two east of me, so, and he was the guy that was organizing it, and we all paid him. And so, it was just straight up like, none of you can get Netflix anymore. I'm just going to cancel it because I was kind of relying on everybody throwing in money to afford it. So, and none of you guys can get it anyway. So I was like, all right, well, screw us then,
Yeah.
It's one of the cheaper services. I think it's only like $10.99 or something here.
It's the principle of the matter.
Yes.
No, that's true.
Yeah, and there's plenty of like pirate style sites out there that you can watch whatever. A lot of these pirate sites have like every single show that comes on streaming services or every single movie you can think of. Yeah, I've got a few of those pirate sites, saved on my Xbox so I can just watch whatever the hell it is I want to watch.
And I was gonna say I didn't have Netflix
Castlevania.
I didn't have Netflix when that Power Ranger special I was going on about came out. I was like, I didn't have a problem finding it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the Transformers movie on the Fire Stick, but I wanted to see that in the movies. So I had to see it on the big screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean I agree. I used to go see every one of these multiple times, but Bumblebee was 5 years ago. Even then I was a lot less busy than I am now. I don't know if it'll happen again. I'm going to try and go back again like another time if I can. If not, I'll just wait till it comes out because I guess one of the advantages of the modern era is the little window before you can just watch them at home is getting smaller and smaller. So
that's true. Well, I think at some point there's the home, like the home camera version of it online somewhere right now.
I get nostalgic for those. You don't really see those anymore. These days people just skim digital files. You don't see somebody with a camera and people coughing and stuff and walking
the site, one of the sites I go to, the main site I go to, that's how all the new releases are until it comes out on something that people can get a hold of to digitally download it and then re-upload it to the site. It's always in cam, and that quality is really varying.
No, you're right, because I saw, I forgot what movie we watched, but you can see like at the end the guy kind of stood up.
Yeah. Or like when it's like I went to the theater to see Guardians and then watched it again the next night on the site and it was a cam and you could hear all the people in the theater cheering when something happened on screen, when something good happened on screen. You could hear people cheering and shit. Yeah.
How I thought that story was gonna go was like I watched Guardians in the theater, then the next day I watched it again on a cam and somebody stood up and I was like, is that me?
God damn, I'm fat. Feel like Spaceballs. Why didn't somebody tell me my ass was so big?
Oh, that's a classic Spaceballs, man.
Classic. I find it so funny. We were talking about the Mel Brooks movies earlier. I find it so funny that he did History of the World Part 2. There's no reference of him making a sequel in the original History of the World, but there was a reference in Spaceballs. We'll see you in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. Why isn't there a Spaceballs 2?
Yeah.
There's so much Star Trek and Star Wars stuff to rip on that's came out since that movie. Yeah. It'd be golden.
You ever noticed, it's really obvious if you're watching Spaceballs on something modern, during that scene I keep mentioning the merchandise, everything behind, all the lunchboxes behind them are actually Transformers ones.
Yep.
Wow.
It's super obvious if you're watching like a Blu-ray or like a streaming thing, because like it wouldn't have been obvious in the 80s quality, but nowadays I'm like, oh, that is just straight up the Metroplex art, like from the third year on all those boxes. They're not even hiding it very well. It's just right behind them.
Yep.
But Freakenstein says they have better phones in editing now. They also asked a question: is anyone collecting Dreamstar toys?
I don't know what that is, so no.
Yeah, I think I have the Blitzwing.
Oh, is that a Threep?
Yeah, is that the one with the Starscream, or is that the Blitzwing, the deformation space? Because I have that one.
I heard you say Threep. Is that how you refer to third party?
Yeah, third party. Threeps.
I've never heard that before.
3P.
I've never heard that before either. I always hear 3P, but not Threep.
No, I meant 3P. I'm sorry.
And listen, if it's a third party masterpiece, as a lot of them are, it's a Threep meep.
What? Easy there, Beaker.
Look, I hang out in some Discord groups. I've never have any idea what the sample size of language is, you know?
Pretty cool. It doesn't have enough paint on it for me, but I like it. It's cool for them. I had the DX9 Jawalt Blitzwing Masterpiece Collection, and I sold that for this one, and I like it better, I guess.
I really dig a lot of the I mean, I know I'm like hardcore with the G1 toys, but I really like a lot of the masterpieces. It's just I can't justify spending the money and making the room when there's still G1 stuff I have to get.
Yeah. So I did the opposite of that. So I had a pretty good G1 collection. It wasn't complete, but I had a lot of them. I just ended up selling them all, and I just went all in on Masterpiece.
Wow, that's weird that we do the opposite thing. But then again, you drive an E Mustang, so yeah. I don't ever want to meet up with you guys and come up to Toronto because he's going to come up to and kick my ass.
Oh, nah, man, we're brothers, man. Nah, I get people either love that thing, man, or I get shit for it. So
I flip off everyone I see.
Yeah, it's a polarizing thing.
And now my other YouTube channel, Cruisers Motorsports, I do a lot of Forza stuff over there. It's a motorsports game for the Xbox, and they just released a trailer today. And the main car in the trailer is the goddamn E-Ray, the electric Mustang or the electric Corvette. Oh, wow. I'm like, oh, that is not a good look.
Well, all the muscle cars are going to come out with one eventually. I mean, it's like, you know. I mean, not for now. Have you ever driven one?
No, I don't associate myself with filth.
I know.
I'm getting the impression that electric cars are to Toy Warp as garlic and crosses are to vampires. He's just like,
yeah, they're fun, man. They're fun, man.
That and Funko Pops, right? Yeah.
Oh God, those ugly sayings. Oh, ugh. Those are like aborted children.
Yeah, wait. All right, yeah. You just earned a few points.
We'll have a Funko Pop episode.
No.
Where's Toy Warp?
Disinherit you.
Yeah,
I would be with there with Toy Warp being like, nope, ain't coming on tonight. Nope. Screw this.
Actually, I take that back. I have I have two actually. One is at work, a Megatron. I keep him on my desk, and I have the 10-inch Unicron, just to put up under the HasLab.
Me and my son don't talk to them.
I will say,
you know what I mean.
I will say in Funko Pops, I had seen a Mega Man X and a Rocket Raccoon, but because those characters are kind of, if you're going by like the old like 2D Super Nintendo Mega Man X's, is sort of that chibi style to begin with, and then Rocket Raccoon just being a cutesy anime, and well, you would say he looks the way people would think he looks like if they don't before they realize what he talks like and acts like. But otherwise, I like none of the other ones. These feel like weird mutations of the characters that they are representing.
Yeah, I thought they were cool when they first came out, but I can't believe people are still into them. But they are.
I can't believe it either. It's like it's like the Beanie Baby fad,
exactly,
all over again.
Pound.
Well, like I remember it how like in the 90s, like McFarlane Toys and how much detail they had in their stuff was such a big deal, and now we're regressing with Funko Pops being these super simplistic looking things.
I don't think hardcore collectors like us are into that though.
Funko
I
gets
don't
people
know.
because they license everything. Everything gets a Funko Pop. If you're a fan
Even
of
the 7-Eleven
something,
Slurpee.
yeah, there's a Funko for that.
Yeah.
So that's tap into previously unconquered markets. That's how they succeed.
Yeah, but like it's oversaturation. It's like
I don't know about serious collectors because every vintage toy show I go to
Oh, they're
have
huge. Yeah.
multiple Funko Pop. And it's like, and I've talked to the organizer multiple times, like, dude, I'm here for vintage toys.
Exactly.
Why is this shit here? He goes, well, it's just kind of filler for when we can't fill tables. I'm like, well, do it in a slightly smaller venue. It'd be cheaper for you and us vintage toy guys who don't want to see this shit.
Yeah.
Don't have to see this shit.
Man, you are absolutely correct with that. I was here at the DC. I go to the Awesome Con every year in DC, and it's the convention center in Washington DC. It's huge, and I go around. I like vintage games and figures and all that, and I swear 50% of everything out there is probably Funkos, easily, and it's like, and no one's buying them. It's like you're wasting time and money.
I don't know if it's the same at your shows or not, but I mean, like when I see them at our shows, I mean, the displays are huge. They've got hundreds and hundreds of them in these displays, and I've never seen them sell any.
Nah, I don't either.
They have their own wall in GameStop.
Just for that, when we go to the TFCon in a couple of weeks, I'm going to search out like what kind of Funko displays are there and just either interview them or take pictures of them to see what the comparison is compared to everything else within the conference room.
You guys,
I'm sure.
You guys are having a booth there, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a booth there.
Damn, I wish I could come to that, man.
I'm glad it's coming to Orlando so I can go to one.
I might go to the Orlando one. We have a little spot down in South Florida.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he is going to come down and kick my ass. Okay, I'm going to leave now.
But you know what?
I genuinely want there to be an episode where Johnny isn't on here, and you're just like, I wonder where Johnny is, and it just leaps into the frame from on the left here. And just...
come down to the Orlando one, and we'll just do a short video of you like doing the Homer Simpson to Bart thing to me.
In the background is the Mustang.
Yeah. That's hilarious, man. How far is Orlando from like Fort Lauderdale?
Probably about 2.5 hours.
So yeah,
that's not bad.
Yeah, it can be doable.
Was that like what the ones in northern Florida and other ones in southern Florida or something? Or to be that far away?
Orlando's like mid Florida, right?
Yeah, it's about smack dab in the middle. Yeah, the good thing about Florida is it's only its widest point is only like 70 miles.
True.
It's a really tall state. It's not very thick. So, when you're just going side to side in the state, that's not a problem. But for me to get out of Florida, I think it's damn near 7 hours.
Yeah.
To get up to Georgia, it's damn near 7 hours because the state's so tall.
So I bought a Jeep.
It's like what, 2 Virginias tall?
I drove the Jeep from here in DC to Fort Lauderdale. It took about 16 hours, something like that.
Sounds right.
I drove like 10 hours. I stopped in Jacksonville as soon as I crossed the state line. Slept, got up, and I still had like 6 hours to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's a big state.
Yeah, that in Georgia, like if you take. Do it.
I gotta get going. I got work in the morning. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
Yeah,
no, I do too. I'm just ready for both.
Yeah, I think it is time for us to sign up. Just before Anthony, do you have any?
We're getting old.
Any reviews for tomorrow?
The movie. I will probably take another pass at my write-up because it's kind of a long, rambling thing. I literally wrote it all today, like an hour or two before showing up here. I took some photos to go with it. I'm going to put that out tomorrow on Children of Primus. Cheers, Shiba Kobe. Beyond that, next week, I just opened up the little mini Dinobot Swoop while we were talking here, so I guess that's my next one after that. Or maybe while I was there at the theater, Andrew gifted me World's Smallest Starscream. Well, not the old Takara one, like one of the new guys. So maybe I'll pop that open, have a look. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know what the heck this is. I'm gonna see. I love stuff like this because I'm like, what even is this? I don't know. Let's figure it out. Let's take some photos and write it up. I forget what she's name. I don't have a YouTube channel, Sheba Kobe. You got to go to childrenofprimus.com under our news and review section to see the stuff I write. Also, I'm on Twitter. Just look for Fear or Courage. Yeah, that's all I'm at, really. all the other socials I'm on, I'm not really regular on. So if you see me on there, I guarantee you I don't really use them. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Cool. And then before we sign off, Toy Warp, anything upcoming for you?
Oh, man, my work is just not slowing down, which is a good thing because it makes me afford more G1 Transformers. But I haven't been able to do anything with the Toy Warp channel for a bit. But since Forza just dropped the trailer for the new game this week, there'll be a Forza video coming up on the Cruisers Motorsports channel. So
Nice.
Cool. And TF Johnny?
I'm just on Instagram acting stupid at TF Johnny.
All right, at Superlink, what about you?
Where's my hand? I've been busy with my alliance on Force, the fight that's named this that I'm the leader of. So I did that intentionally. So, and if any of my alliance members wanted to see what I look like and sound like in real life, quote unquote, that's why I went with that name tonight. Otherwise, Tuesday, I don't know what I'm going to be doing art wise. I got a bunch of like stuff. Bunch of stuff from my Septembach arts and my B&B, my questionably named Instagram that I want to post to. So the usual,
obviously.
Johnny, I went and gave you a subscribe on YouTube, and
Did you? Thank you.
and linked before. I think we got everybody into the group chat. I linked your channel to that too, so you might have to scroll up to see it. But I didn't forget about you.
Oh, wow, thank you. I'm never on there. Like I bought a camera just for the YouTube vlogging, and I just don't do it, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I got like a Wacom tablet to do digital drawing and painting, which I mean I know how to do, but I almost never. I might have used that thing a few times to touch up some drawings digitally, just because it was easier than me using a mouse or touchpad. Otherwise, I had never really done any drawings or paintings with it. So the time when I finally get this thing that should make that stuff easier, I don't use it.
Yeah, I feel you.
Still do it the hard way.
Probably about a couple months ago, I bought a DSLR, like $1,000 DSLR camera.
I use mines
to do the filming for the cars for the Cruisers Motorsports channel. I haven't gotten to use it yet. I've just been too busy.
Yeah, I have a friend up here in Dayton that shoots some for a lot of like motorcycle and sport and car show type magazines and whatnot, as well as the Dayton Local, so the local like newspaper. So I mean, it can make a difference having a nice camera, especially with like stuff moving really fast. You can get some shots that a phone would just be too slow to get. Because I used to do a bunch of wildlife and dance photography in Virginia, and like I said, my friend, he does like car show and race stuff up here.
I know about the lead. Which camera did you get? Just curious. Toy Walk.
Oh, it's the Rebel.
Oh, you got like a Rebel T or something like that.
Yeah, Rebel T.
Okay, so that's just about that's around like the starter kind.
I got a Nikon Z7.
Like I said, I haven't been able to use it yet, and I know. And part of the reason not because I need a gimbal for it to do what I'm doing with the cars. I need a gimbal for it.
You know what? I have a gimbal I don't use. I wouldn't be opposed to sending it to you, to be honest with you. Don't use it. It's a little three axis.
Really, and it could handle a heavy camera like the T9.
So I have a little Sony ZV-1. It's kind of a point and shoot, but it's a good one. It handles that, but it kind of doesn't. Like sometimes, yeah, because your camera will be heavier than that, so it probably wouldn't work because it barely handles the.
And
ZV-1, and its
prices on them are just
they're crazy. Yeah.
So what type of lens are lens range?
I need to. Yeah, that's the funny thing is, I needed. Oh God, let me remember because I did the whole.
It's not so much. It's not so much camera body that adds to the weight. It's what your lens you're using. Like if you're using like a really crazy, super big, long range zoom lens, or just long focal length like 1,000 whatever away. Those are what makes it hard. But like I mean, I shoot raw, like barehanded, and like urbex setting, like abandoned buildings and stuff. But I mean, I'm used to having a steady hand for that type of stuff too. But
My
'cause I'll
steady
shoot,
hand.
like-
That's why I want a gimbal. I used to have a super steady hand back in the '90s when I had the old style video camera you put up on your shoulder. You know, I was steady as shit. I was perfect with that thing. And nowadays, I can't keep it steady enough to get a
You know
decent
what? These
picture
new
for what I'm
cameras,
doing.
they have internal.
well, a lot of them have like
stabilization.
anti-shake or something.
I
know
didn't see
mine
anything.
It's
does.
called IBS is what it's called.
I'm
I got a lot to
walking
learn.
back into my room.
Well, Toilet, you know, say, I mean, like all of our links, we'll connect in the chat and get out all of our links and I'll add them to this video after we sign off. So I'll add it probably tomorrow or once we connect and get all the links. So on that note, I say, you know,
This is called a stabilizer function. That's what you would want to look for. And it will be on the lens itself. If you can swap the lenses out, look for a lens that has a stabilizer function.
Cool. So yeah. So on that note, I say, you know, thank you for everyone coming in once again, and you know, to all you guys, and also to the comments, and you know, comment, subscribe afterwards, during, and so forth, and you know. And as Optimus said in the movie, till all are one.
Yeah, till all are one, like in the movie, eh?
Yeah.
See you brothers later.